The upstairs lifestyle is having quite an effect.
People value you so highly. Your appearance in their lives can make a difference.
But the privileged are not without their problems.
My shoes need polishing.
Luckily, this classy family has a team of loyal servants.
It has to change, and if it doesn't, they're not going to have any staff. I can promise you that.
Troubles in Edwardian paradise.
The next 4 weeks is going to be sheer chaos.
The Edwardian Country House, 7:30 tonight.
There was movement at the station.
Playing great country music, there's not too many people who really know how to do it.
As folks mustered to keep New Country on air.
We can't turn the station off.
Along the way are heartaches.
All hell is broken loose.
Teardrops.
Oh, Kathy, I'm so sorry.
And tragedies for the folk on Beer Can Hill.
You know, what else can go wrong?
Reality bites.
I think I gave up farming for this.
New Country, 8 o'clock Tuesday, ABC.
Happy 10th birthday, B1 and B2. You don't look a day over 9.
Happy birthday to you.
And good afternoon. Welcome to the continuing weekend of finals action right here on the ABC. Great to have your company this Sunday afternoon. Our match of the day is the second qualifying final between Werribee and Coburg. Again, it's out at Tiak Oval in Port Melbourne, and we'll be crossing to Drew Morford, Phil Cleary and Ross Booth very, very shortly. At half-time after their victory yesterday against Geelong, my special guest will be David Dunbar, senior coach at Port Melbourne. 2 AFL games continued round 22 last night. First up, St Kilda and Melbourne. The Demons wanting to secure their final spot.
Moving it quickly. Poor kick though, or he might get a lucky bounce. Here comes Stewie Lowe. Oh. Kicks the first goal.
What about that?
Walsh. Green is the target once again. Right with him, Hutchinson. Too good.
Might be 50.
Could be 50. And they're going to lose the lead as Brad Green kicks number 4.
Tackle, the Demon fans thought. Then the Saints fans were calling for holding the ball. Play on was the result. Power to Bruce. He can stroll into goal. And suddenly the Demons are in command.
Long ball, Rewalt one-on-one. They won't mind that, the Saints. Bizzle drags him to the ground. Play on is the call. It won't matter. Stephen Milne will run in. Brother's got check side. He will. He loves it. Lowe does well, but Woden standing in the way. Misses the target. Thompson. Oh, great effort to go back with the smother. It's still alive, though, for St Kilda. Here's Milne. He's going to kick a check side. Who cares? He kicks a goal.
Oh, this big opportunity. What a goal! That was off the back of the foot. That is an amazing goal by Armstrong. Hamill just got rid of it in time. Vardy, as we said, he knows how to find the goals, and he's found them again. And the Demons once again look like they might be home.
So the final goal from Vardy getting the Demons home. There you see the difference, 2015 135 to 89 117. Goal kickers for the Saints, Revolt with 6. Milne had 4. For Melbourne's Brad Green kicked 5 and Armstrong kicked 3 just in that final quarter. Melbourne didn't come away unscathed though. Brown and Williams both with knee injuries and Johnston with a sore ankle. For the Saints, Hutchinson with a hamstring, Begley with a shoulder injury and Black has a calf injury. There were no reports from the game. Meanwhile in Sydney, the Swans were playing for a number of reasons when they came up against Richmond at Stadium Australia.
Bit of chance, 1 out. He was held, no free kick. Now a chance for Roden at ground level. Wheels around, right foot snap. There's a goal.
Another inside 50 here. It's O'Loughlin on the left boot. He goes long. Hall of the goal square. Hall marks. Hall goals. To Williams.
Williams the go-to man across that half-back line for Sydney because of his pace and kicking ability.
Crouch in the direction of Shawwell. Big bad Barry's lurking behind. Dishes off to Seymour. Surely can't miss this one. He doesn't. Cavelli's coughed it up to Richardson to Roden. Roden from 48. Drives it long. Great kick. That's the one that Tigers need it.
Lachlan from 55. Thumping kick, it's offline. Swarble keeps it in. Oh, Kirk kicks a goal. Great play, brilliant play from Ray Hall. He runs to 45. Drop punt is... just misses.
No, it's a goal. A crowd of 40,000 plus came here to Telstra Stadium in Sydney to see Paul Kelly and Andrew Dunkley play their final games. They've been marvellous players for Sydney.
Yeah, doing it in style for Kelly and Dunkley's last game. Lots of emotion too for coach Paul Roos. Let's take a look at the goal kickers. And for Sydney, Barry Hall had 5, Lachlan with 3 to Richmond. Ray Hall kicked 4, while Roden and Stafford kicked 2 each. There were no injuries. Brad Seymour, though, and Jason Tawney were both reported for wrestling. The other games in the AFL today, the Kangaroos take on West Coast at Manuka Oval. West Coast trying for a place in the 8. Carlton and Essendon meet at the MCG, and Fremantle and Adelaide fight it out at Subiaco. The other VFL match of the day is the second elimination final between Williamstown and the Maori Kangaroos, and that is out at Point Gellibrand. Racing today is from Werribee, where the track is dead the rail in the true position and the penetrometer reading 4.80, and we'll have results and the closing stages of some of those races during breaks at the footy. Time now to see how the boys are out at Tiac Oval for another big round of football, and beautiful day once again. The Demons won last night. Life couldn't be better, lads.
Absolutely, and happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. It's the first day of spring. It looks like spring, feels like spring, finals in the air. And after yesterday, aren't the finals an absolute beauty?
Fantastic, and we see the Coburg, I was going to say Lions there, but Beverly leading from the front, a big job. She's got Sandy through in their first final, and she's got Melbourne firing up, so she's done very well, that Vice President of Melbourne. She is the lifeblood of football, but this will be an absolute great game.
Well,
yeah, but
it
a
should
big
be.
weekend.
And I'm looking forward to your unbiased call of Coburg playing in the second qualifying final. And here come Werribee, who qualified in second place, and Coburg in third. The winner goes to the preliminary final, and the loser has another chance next week in the semi.
Look, I think they're two great sides. I've really been looking forward to the game, Drew, because they're power sides. They've got lots of skill, but they're not like the two sides yesterday who had a lot of tall players. This is going to be a different kind of game, different chemistry, couple of blokes out, and the two coaches, they'll be nice and primed up, I tell you.
They will be. Now let's hear from them. Here they are with Ross Booth.
We've got a heap of changes and probably at the wrong time of the year, but look, that's life and that's the alignment, and that's VFL football the way it is at the moment. So look, we're looking pretty forward to this game. We realise the strength of Coburg and the players that they've got in their team. So look, we're just really keen to have a good competitive effort today and hopefully get over the line.
What is their strength?
Oh, look, there's no doubt that they've just got a number of small players that Richmond have recruited over the last year and 2 years, and they've just been terrific all year for them. I think their backline run with Talbot and Di Pasquale and others is also terrific. And I mean, Hudson's played 13 games and been able to kick 40 goals, and McGrath and Edney down there as well, and also Pettifer. So, you know, realistically, they've got good forward strength. Their backs are a good counter-attack football, and their mids are pretty tricky.
Well, Alan Richardson, big day. I guess you might have a psychological advantage. A good win by 12 points out at Churnside Park earlier in the year.
Yeah, Ross, obviously, it's certainly hard work to win out there. That was a terrific effort, but there's been a lot of water going to the bridge since then. Both sides now go in at 16 and 4. It's really going to be a real smacking, whacking affair, I would suggest, and we're really looking forward to it.
What do you think of their strengths you've got to counter?
Certainly their midfield's been pretty good. Their ability to get the ball out of the centre is something that we've probably struggled in, even though we've been winning reasonably well. So that'll be a focus of ours. And they've got a couple of fairly handy players in Bartlett and Saunders up forward that we need to be able to counter. But, you know, we've got a fairly lively bunch up forward ourselves. So I think that should even itself out.
Well, let's have a look at the results yesterday. Two fantastic games, and both going against expectations. Port Melbourne defeating the minor premiers Geelong here at Port Melbourne yesterday by 7 points in, I reckon, the best game we've seen this year.
Great game, and, you know, full of anticipation, wasn't it? And the Port ladies kept telling me there's more than 3 in it, and they got it right yesterday, and David Dunbar coached well, and Sandy, yes.
Well, Sandy were 15 points down at three-quarter time, and they got up and won by 2 points, beating the premiers, and Box Hill are out of it.
Well, look, the interesting thing with Sandringham, they've been very good in finals, Drew, over the years, and I had a feeling they were going to march forward. And the last start between these two sides, 12 points at Chirnside Park, and look, Cracker, 4 goals. He's going to be dynamite down there. Wigan's not playing today. Hudson with 3. It's a different kind of game. They haven't got the same number of talls. Wigan's not playing. Mitchell not playing up forward. But Paddy Steinford will be out of the Coburg side. That is a big problem for them, and they've had to throw young bloke Nick Butler. But there's the Werribee side now. Will Smith play at full forward? They've named him there, told us, they've said, well, in paper that he'll be there. You wouldn't have thought so, but then again, maybe with Mitchell out and with Coburg not having a lot of talls in the backup, they might think Smith is better up that end. Bartlett play in the ruck against Butler. That'll be tremendous. And look at that boy Churchill. He's back in the side, missed a stack of football. He was due for the state game. And Drew, we were looking at that. I don't know whether he's played since then. And that Coburg side, Vardy to go to the fullback, Butler there in the ruck. No, Steinford, and there you've got McGrath, good player, Hudson, and look out for Cracker. Edney, you know, can kick goals. Western, they've got 13 Richmond, 9 Coburg players in that side. So it's a pretty even matchup, about the same. 10 doggies in the Werribee side. Roscoe, we just saw the coaches, nice and tense, I reckon, those two boys, and Alan Richardson really look forward to it also. So what could you glean?
Well, I don't know about your arithmetic. I've got 10 doggies in the Werribee side and 13 Richmond in the Coburg, but let's not nitpick at this stage.
I thought that's what I said, actually.
Did you?
But, yeah.
Oh, OK. Well, perhaps I'd never listen to what you're saying anyway. Look, another beautiful day, as you said. There is a gentle breeze to the right of screen. Ryan Pagan has won the toss in the absence of Pat Steinford. They'll really miss him in the ruck. And should get away. Both coaches a little apprehensive, but I think it's going to be a great game.
Yes, I think it will be.
Will it be a smack-in, whack-in sort of a game, as Alan Richardson described it? And we come into the first ruck, and Nick Butler, the youngster, wins in the middle, but it comes Werribee's way and cleared by Kingsley Hunter out to Setchell. And Setchell has taken the mark in between wing and half forward. He kicks to the pocket. Smith is on the forward line and nearly drags down the mark. It comes down to the front of the pack, and a shot for goal across the face of goal. Skipper, number 49, wants to keep it in, does keep it in, but cleared by Talbot of Coburg. Out towards half-back flank, and out of bounds it goes. And quite a good crowd here today in the good sunny conditions. And didn't it make a difference, the beautiful weather we had yesterday? No breeze. It was two top teams, but I'm sure the weather contributed, and hopefully it will again today. Butler doing well at the start of the game. Churchill inside the 50.
Left footer deep, Pasquale always uses it, creates an opportunity.
And he picked the right part of the ground to go to there. Very well done. Defensive punch by Lamb. And Lamb's given away the free kick. Edney. He's built like a little kid, but does he go well? Up towards the attacking 50. It comes to the front of the pack and taken towards the boundary line. And David Dunbar will be with Beverley in the studio at half-time. Of course, he coached brilliantly yesterday, and Port Melbourne got over the minor premiers. Knocked out in ruck.
Oh, she's nice and tough. Some good matchups around the ground, down to the left of screen. Talbot picking up Saunders. Vardy, it appears, has Skipper down there. And we'll catch up some more in the midfield.
Trent Bartlett goes up in ruck and takes possession away from Butler. And Werribee have the football. And they're able to clear out of defence. Long kick up towards centre half forward. Too long for Saunders, playing on Talbot. Smith is there. Ball comes back to Carlson, to Talbot. Outside the 50. Boundary line or teammate will do. Ryan Pagan, acting skipper today. Pokes it up short, which is good. And he's turned the ball over. And Kingsley Hunter takes the mark for Werribee. So a lot to cheer for here today for Western Bulldogs followers and Richmond fans, with a lot of players who've represented at senior level this year. Shane Burse towards half forward. Punch by Talbot to the front. Setchell on the turn. Gets it into the attacking zone. Vardy has a bit of a fumble. Churchill, it's a throw. And he's been penalised.
Under a bit of pressure, Coburg, though. A lot of the play down in their defensive 50. Haven't been able to find a path through. Good tackle, Churchill, underdone. Good player, though, but caught on that occasion.
Royce Vardy, he had the fumble, then applied a good tackle.
Newman flies over the top. Taylor. Good kick into Hudson.
Good play by Hudson. You'll see a lot of that.
Out wide race, and from 50, good shot on goal. Breeze just taking it a little bit to the right. There's just a fraction of a breeze out there. Maybe a goal advantage to the right of screen for the Lions.
Already...
Tigers.
Well, kids call them Lions, Ross, because they can't have two Tigers. But you notice the touch game a little different, isn't it, already from the game yesterday? The tall's not really featuring. So you're going to see a lot more of that pinpoint passing. Dyer with the job kicking in there, I think, for the Tigers, for the Werribee Tigers.
And Kingsley Hunter at centre half-back. Across the ground, and now they're off and running. Saunders, bit of support here from Cross. And Smith on a good lead, and within goal-kicking distance. Well, he used to be a star on the forward line, but more recently, he's been playing in defence. And can Sean Smith relive some of those glory days for the Demons?
Yes, I think Lee Carlson with the job on him, number 7. I'll just check that out. There's a little bit of pushing and shoving going on there, but Smith can worry. I like him down in attack, to be perfectly honest.
Well, he's playing full forward, but he's kicked 5 goals in 19 matches this year. So can he turn it around and get a bag full in the first final? Sean Smith for goal.
Got it.
Magnificent.
Phil, as I was researching into the wee hours last night, I discovered that Werribee have only 4 of their top 10 goal kickers of the year in the side, whereas Coburg have 10, so they're obviously down in attack, as you said, pre-match.
Yeah, without a doubt, and I suppose balanced up by Steinford not playing, them having to play a small, but you're dead right. I mean, Mitchell, for example, to miss out, and then it was a smart move, I think, by Chris Bond, Ross, to put Smith up forward, because they don't need him in the back half because Coburg's very small. So it just panned out nicely for them. And could be one of those moves. Makes a difference.
Bartlett in ruck. Burse got the hand pass away. Taylor with the soccer kick. And away goes Hyde for Coburg. In towards Hudson. Good mark. And 50 knocked out of his hands, surely. Can't argue with that one.
No, well, that happens. But isn't this typical? This is how the Coburg side will play. It'll be a touch game. Pretty smart by Hudson, I can tell you. He virtually put that on his elbow.
And a bit of a blue in the square.
There's a blue going on in the goal square. Hudson ignoring this. He's going to kick it right over the top of them, you'd reckon. Hook might be coming out here. Umpire's got the pencil poised.
They get pinched for wrestling.
So Hudson will even the score, put the Tigers in front. The Coburg Tigers with a goal for 50. I guess Matthew Robbins on that replay, Phil, might have been a touch unlucky.
I think he was really, Ross, because he did, you know, if you're going to claim that he's hit it with his elbow, how could you be sure elbow, shoulder, you know, it's right on the point, and Hudson's virtually perched it on his, have a look, was it? We'll see. Beautiful work, though. Beautiful kick by Hyde. Now, let's just have a look at this. Mark, now he puts it towards the bloke.
It looked worse on that angle.
He did, and you see it on the other angle, and it came off high up, elbow or shoulder. This is a good game, though. This is a real good game. Nice touch football going to be on display here, and it is going to be tight, and they're already out there wrestling. So we've got a bit of old-style football as well.
Bounce back in the centre. And they come out of it. Faulkner gets a good hand pass away. Out towards centre wing to Burse. Kick by Shane. Well, he hasn't kicked it yet. He ran a fair way, Burse, up towards full forward. Churchill is there. Oh, terrific mark by Vardy in the pack. Royce Vardy did particularly well then. To Pagan. Skipper guarding the mark pretty keenly. Good kick, mark taken by Newman, who took a bit of a knock.
Well, that could have been worth a 50 there, because a little clip, and umpires have got to watch those.
bit going on in this game, isn't there?
Yeah, they're not in love with each other. We know that much.
Up to centre wing. Hudson dives at it. Couldn't quite drag it in. Returned by Jack. Churchill, the hand pass to Lamb. Lamb pokes it out towards the pocket. Saunders on a wide lead, but too wide. Ball out of play. And it's on again just behind. It did go out.
Aaron Rowe sitting on the bench. Well, not on the bench, on the grass. Why they don't like each other, Phil?
I think they're just because...
They're second and third.
There's a bit, yeah, and there's a bit of old-style stuff about it too. They're old VFA clubs, you know, and I think they've had pretty deep rivalries.
Butler works to the front. Barber looks for the free. Out to Faulkner, the captain. High ball. Can Smith get a run? He's shielding his eyes from the sun. Talbot was at the fall of the ball. Churchill laying the tackle. Carlson there too. That looked a bit suspect. Churchill couldn't get over Carlson and worked it to the line. Good defence, not letting him round. Trent Churchill, you see his shoulder strap there. He hurt it. I think it was last week or the week before in the reserves on his comeback. But he's an important midfielder for them.
From the boundary throw in. Clean possession, Carlson. A throw, says the umpire.
Well, I think it looked right by the umpire. Shouldn't really have given away a free kick there, Coburg, but that's a free kick. That is a throw, no question about that. Both hands going.
Clear it out, guys. Bring it right out, thanks. Churchy, nice it here for you, and you're right on your line.
So Churchill with the free kick.
No close there. No close to Westy. No, it is level with me.
And he'll get inside the 50. And on a calm day, not a lot of reason why he shouldn't kick it, apart from the pressure of a final. Churchill for goal. Post arrest.
Interesting setup, matchups in this game. You've got Robertson picking up Hudson in the Coburg forward half. Picking on Poyas.
Hart kicks in well to Carlson. Dishes it out and kicked just a bit wide, missing its target. Was Pettifer in front of Dyer. It was Newman who kicked it wide. There's Edney. Goal-scoring rover for Coburg. Beautiful Port Melbourne ground here. Rialto in the background, Bartlett using his body. Strong tackle, Weston on cross, not allowing him through the pack. Then across, gets up. Not yet the intensity of yesterday's qualifying final, just sorting themselves out.
Don't block his run, Ryan. Don't take him out of it, Pags.
Bartlett did well. Hyde worried out of it. Hart got it out to Weston. Quickly to boot. Poyas in front, edged under it. Hudson, good give. Cracker, his kick was squirted out, smothered partly. And a throw.
There's a good sense of understanding and linking of these Coburg forwards. Hudson very creative. They're banging it out to Cracker.
He's been a great player, Paul Hudson. AFL Premiership player, All-Australian. Bartlett clean possession, gets the hand passed out. Dyer bowled over in the tackle, regains the football. It's right in front of goal here, and a chance for Coburg. Scores level. We've been playing 12 minutes in the opening term. 1 goal, 1 apiece.
I suppose Richmond and Bulldogs haven't been great fans over the years in wrestling, have they, Drew?
They've had a few dips, haven't they?
In fact, I believe Matthew Knights might be talking to you at half-time, Phil.
We've got a bit of a yard to them, Ross.
It was a good leap by Butler.
Might ask him why he's not playing.
For your main objective, guys.
I reckon
actually he's qualified to play, isn't he? Because while the Tigers were playing this weekend, yeah.
It's an interesting game, this, though, Ross. You mentioned not the intensity. I reckon it is pretty intense, you know. A lot of one-on-ones still.
Dyer, the hand pass back. Lamb, a slip. Dyer gets clear. Hasn't cleared the area yet, though. Hudson lurking dangerously. Poyas. Kick smothered. And Garth Taylor taken to ground.
And every time you see the players run in, they've really been spruiked up. to fly the flag every time. Now watch when this goes down. Look, Cracker goes in. Oh, and you see why. And you've seen free kicks paid for less than that, probably too.
Yeah.
Against Robertson.
Bartlett bursts clear to Burst. Middle of the ground, touch play on. It won't be a mark. Newman has it. Pass is good. Pagan at centre half forward. Thought about going on with it.
Play on.
Now told to play on. Gets the hand pass. Pettifer gets him run up from defence. Shot by Di Pasquale offline.
This is, yeah, Ross, and it's interesting you asked a question before the game of the two coaches. Very smart of you too about the opposition, and didn't they both tell you very freely about, and you could sense they know the opposition, don't they?
They do. A lot of homework being done. Guy gets it moving to Robbins, back from a hamstring. He has trouble getting a clear kick. Cross trying to get the interception. Churchill, Hart on the bottom of the pack. Hyde spins out of trouble. Burst in support. Quick kick might have been crossed to half forward. Over the head of Saunders. Coming out Smith. A couple of veterans there. Smith moving like a young colt. Setchell couldn't grab it. He's got good body strength. Held it a while. Boyd in trouble, has to dish it out.
It's good footing,
Ross. Land from 50. Gets the kick away. Good vision, but at the last minute, here comes Vardy to relieve the pressure. It goes long downfield.
Vardy to midfield. Past Poyas it goes. Hudson is there. Poyas the tackler too high.
Well, I think we're in for a good game, you know. This has got the lot.
Faulkner. The hand pass to Burst. And his kick inside the 50. Goes past Saunders. Weston. Talbot.
Best player going around Talbot at the moment in the VFL.
Poyas gets at the back. Wants to keep this ball in. Bowled over when he didn't have it. Taylor there to help him out. Burst. Bang. Oh, Pettifer. She's rugged. Pettifer might have popped his shoulder in giving that bump. We'll come back to him in a moment. It really is on. Faulkner. Up towards centre wing. Oh, good mark by Bartlett. It's certainly heating up now. Coburg leading by a point. Not much scoring, but plenty of aggression and physicality in the game.
Oh, Pettifer's in trouble, I think. You're right, Drew.
Pagan. Setchell. Down he goes. Chance for Lamb. An opening. The pass just a little bit too far, but still a good chance here. And the ball goes out of play. No, it didn't go out, Jack. Jack to the goal square. And Newman gets back to clear.
Pettifer gone to the bench. Maybe winded if it's not the shoulder.
Yeah, I think you're right, Ross. I just noticed they didn't seem to be overly concerned.
Meantime, Burst under pressure from Weston. Churchill kicks to the lead of Skipper. Kicked 4 last week against the Blues. There's Pettifer. Well, looks like may have just been a solid bump in the solar plexus.
Yep. If it was a crook shoulder, they'd have him up the race, or they'd be working hard on him, but he's just taken some air, I would think. Having a look at him.
11 times inside 50 have Werribee been for still the 1 goal.
Yes, I think they've had Coburg under a bit of pressure, but I would have thought, what's the Coburg inside 50? But they've had a fair bit of the ball. 5, is it? 4, is that all? Gee, they must have had it a bit in the midfield and not quite crossed 50.
Checking out the breathing there with Pettifer. Kick in. Oh, Bartlett, didn't he hit the pack very hard? Comes down to the front. Lamb gets the hand pass out to Smith. His kick smothered by Newman. The hand pass in. And Coburg running it well out of defence. Weston.
Oh, that's a shocking kick by David Weston. Where was he going?
Giving it straight up. Robbins works the ball across to Robertson. Oh, and that's a poor kick too, and the mark to Talbot. Oh. Vardy lopes after it. Has time for a cut lunch and roll a cigarette.
Vardy should be handing the ball off. He got caught then.
Shane Jack. Well, Pettifer's ready to come straight back on. Well, that's good news.
David Weston taken off because of a bad kick.
Up towards Skipper. He's gone down.
Kick.
Oh, well. Did you think it was there, Phil?
I thought he interfered with him, Ross, with the ball not within 5 metres. It may look a little technical. Let's have a look. He's bumped him out of the contest with the ball a fair way away, and I think you'll find that's probably within the rules to have paid the free kick.
Well, you're very commended on your objectivity. I thought it was a bit soft, really.
Did you? Yeah, a little, maybe a touch.
He doesn't miss that one, Wade Skipper.
Well, it's a bit hard to quite pick it up, Ross, whether, in fact, he just stood his ground, Vardy, if it was Vardy, or whether, in fact, he... Let's see. Well, he's taken him out of the contest, and the ball is a fair way away. I think it's outside, you know, outside the distance. But if he's going to pay that one, he's got to pay them all day.
Plugger wouldn't have fallen over.
No, he probably wouldn't have. What would be the reason for that, Ross? What, he doesn't stage? Yeah, I think that's what you mean.
But it's worked forward here by Carlson. There's a free kick coming back, and it'll be to Edney.
Plenty of work for the umpires, Drew, because she's tough in close. A lot of tackles being laid. You've got umpires got to watch. Is it over the shoulder? Is it too high? She whacked him in around the neck.
Butler. Interesting for Edney to give it away to Butler. Hart's kick out wide, very wide, not really to the advantage of the side.
And that's a problem. We saw Coburg last start. They used the ball beautifully, didn't they? Pinpoint. They found their targets. And just at the moment, there's been a few kicks sprayed, and David Weston's off the field because he sprayed one.
Bartlett and Butler again. Two of them on the ground. Robbins, good evasive skills. Thumps it long. Maybe not the best option. Talbot there. Beat Saunders well.
Geez, in good form, this bloke, Ross, isn't he? He is just fantastic player.
27 and a state rep. Into his captain, Pagan. Little dinky hand pass, Edney. Finds Cracker. Opposite half-forward flank. Now he kicks to the leading McGrath, who flew high. Allowed the turnover. High tackle advantage to Hunter. He's got Setchell loose. Centre wing, inside of him bursts if he draws the player. Chooses to run instead. Can he kick it effectively? He can beautifully to Smith. Good play.
Yes, carving them up there. Coburg just having a few little problems in their forward half, finding a player to mark the football. They're not a tall side. Werribee, by contrast, have got a couple of targets. Skipper, one of them, this bloke Smith, and Saunders.
Kick the opening goal, Sean Smith.
Still testing.
That's why you're a coach, Phil.
Well, yeah. Well, it was probably 3 metres, wasn't it? Just out of his range.
So Werribee just with a slight advantage so far, certainly on the scoreboard. It has been a nice old tough start to the game. Correct. Hand pass over the top. Just too far for Pettifer, and the ball out of play at half forward.
You look at this forward half of the Coburg side. As we look down there, they're not a big side. Hudson probably comes in about the tallest, you know, there.
So plenty of talking from the umpires. They're mic'd up in the VFL.
Free kick against the big bloke Butler. It's a push there. He's got to work on that. He can't afford to be giving free kicks to this bloke.
Well, Butler's got a disadvantage. He's a kid, 19-year-old, up from the Northern Knights, playing just his 12th game. His Hart gets a good hand pass away to Correct, and he goes straight towards the goal square, slightly out towards the pocket. McGrath gets a bad bounce. And between McGrath and Taylor, they take the ball out of play.
You notice the difference going very wide there, Drew. Yesterday, they went bang down to in the corridor, didn't they? And they found the likes of Stevens, and they were always looking for that tall timber. Smaller side tends to force you to go a bit wider.
Yeah, they pocket players and flankers there. Picken gets the hand pass to Bartlett. Might have been a little bit fortunate onto the chest of Jack. And away they go. Burst, and a very disappointing kick by him. So out of defence it was Deep Pasquale taking the mark. Now it's Newman. Newman to centre wing. Pettifer, good one-hander. So not a lot wrong with Kane Pettifer. Kick over the top, okay, for Brad Miller. Miller to the 50, and Corrett's been getting plenty of the football in the last couple of minutes. Former captain of Assumption College. Has that gone the distance? Poyas, yep, mark paid, but still a difficult spot to be kicking goals.
And you wonder, Drew and Roscoe, whether you can go the journey having to find targets like this all the time and win the game, you know, and the other side being able to not expend as much energy, have as much finesse, drive into the corridor, find Saunders, find Smith, find Skipper.
Ezra Poyas.
Certainly helps if you ping him.
Good-looking kick. Just skims the post.
But it's an intriguing contest, this one. Some beautiful skills on display, though. Good hands, pinpoint passing, and tackling.
Jeremy Dyer kicks in. Robertson gets it moving.
Trouble.
Was Burst.
Trouble again. Well done, Cracker.
Pagan with a little soccer. Garth Taylor snapping into the square. Is there a grab here for McGrath? Not quite. Dyer. Solid work by Hudson. Drags it under. Will he be pinged? It's squirted out. Dyer to Robertson. Rebounding it. Well, not. That's a free kick.
Done, McGrath.
Taylor was.
Taylor, I should say.
Should have been free kicked, I thought. Now it's over. No, it's not fully over. It's going to be right over the line to the advance. Should be anyway. That's got the crowd fired up.
Well, it's just a good contest. That's brilliant. That's holding the ball, umpire. You've got to reward a bloke for that.
Yeah, terrific effort by Taylor. McGrath becoming a ruckman. Pettifer doing the splits. Cracker. McGrath. Ross knocks the ball up to Burst. Bounces short of centre wing.
Throw.
Down goes Hart. Poyas. Look at the pressure being applied.
Fantastic.
Talbot down towards the pocket, but Werribee player in front. The mark to Dale Morris. Just a youngster, a teenager. And Werribee have a big chance now. It opens up for Cross. He kicks to centre half forward, and Skipper takes the mark right in front and about 50 metres from goal.
And doesn't that tell the story? All that hard yakka by Coburg at one end, tackling, trying to find small players. Then they get the break. Werribee, what happens? They drive it, and a tall runs out, takes a mark. Contrast in styles.
Wade Skipper, he's kicked 1 goal, 1 so far.
Stay on it.
Hasn't made it. Smith for one of his classics. Not quite this time. And just pure brute strength gets the ball over the boundary line. And there's still a bit of brute strength being shown. Who will ever forget the mark that Sean Smith took up at the Gabba for the mark of the century nearly, when the Gabba was being reconstructed.
Skipper in front. Setchell won't be able to hook it back enough. Burst taken out of the contest. Setchell followed up well. No chance to dispose of that.
Chris Bond looks on. Chewing away on those fingernails just for a moment.
Don't block off the ball, guys.
Peter Road in the background, who coached the Bulldogs yesterday to a win. 1 out of 1 for Peter Road.
Danny Froy here too, watching the Coburg side. Good work by the Tigers. Newman grabbing Faulkner. He gets away, runs into his own man. Just
well
assists.
done.
Half volley to Robertson. Clean pick-up. Shot at goal all right.
Got it.
The third goal on the board to Werribee from the half-back flanker and state rep Travis Robertson.
Just the pressure you see. They've got a more efficient lineup, the Werribee Tigers. Coburg working very, very hard to try to get scores, but the Tiger pressure, Werribee pressure, just a bit too much in the end. And you see Faulkner is run down from the back half. He's been, Robertson down from the back half is picking up Hudson, and he does that often. So that's a good return for him.
Robertson's played every game this year, but it's just his 4th goal for the season. So he's pretty happy about it. And in a tight game, things like that might make all the difference. Burst getting a lot of football. Lamb.
Gee, I thought that was a throw, you know, in close.
It's coming back to a free kick to Burst. So he gets a lead from Picken. Marcus Picken keeps it low towards half forward. Oh, Mark probably should have been taken there by... That was Boyd who dropped it. Down towards the forward pocket. Smith keeps it alive. And to the top of the goal square. Skipper! Not quite. And rushed through by Di Pasquale.
He's going to give him a bit of trouble. Could bring him some grief, Skipper. Vardy's the right man because he's got the height. You'll see there, not much you could do about that. Really, Skipper would be disappointed he didn't cling on to it.
It seems to be gaining in confidence through the years, Skipper, isn't
yes, he is, Ross, and there's a bit to like about him, isn't there? He's an exciting sort of player.
Hyde. Oh, turn it over to Burst, who should, if he kicks as he usually does.
Well, Shane Burst has been dropped this week back to the VFL side from the Bulldogs, and he's had a million touches in the opening term.
Well, the pressure's just mounting on Coburg, and Coburg is a big kick.
11 possessions for Burst, so that is some quarter of football at the start of a final.
So he can make the margin 19 points with a straight kick. 3-4 to 1-3 at the moment. In the qualifying final, and the Cardinals send into the man on the mark. So it's a 13-point margin to Werribee.
An intriguing game of footy, Ross. Look, you've got to love the pressure. Two different kind of sides in a sense, although before the game I said they were more similar in that they were smaller, but they've still got more tools, this Werribee side, and there's one of them, Skipper, and that's causing the Coburg backline some difficulty, and they're under deep pressure. They've got to get good return out of their forward attacks, or else the pressure will just continue to mount, because that Werribee side can kick its goals a bit easier, and the back half's going to be under deep pressure. Coburg also need umpires who are going to pay holding the ball free kicks too, because they're going to need them, because that's how they're playing the game. But I tell you what, Drew, I'm finding this a thoroughly enthralling game. It's got lots of little tests and ebbs and flows in it. I reckon it'll be very, very interesting to see how Alan Richardson can manoeuvre this side, because the way it looks at the moment, the Werribee Tigers just look to have a few more aces up the sleeve.
Well, they do, and it hasn't taken very long for Coburg to find themselves behind and for Phil to be blueing with the umpires. It's a 13-point lead to Werribee here at quarter time. Beverly?
You're a professional stirrer, Drew. Thank you very much for that. And let's look at the AFL match that is underway at Manuka Oval between the Kangaroos and the West Coast. The West Coast, of course, fighting to stay in the finals, and they've got off to an early start. Troy Wilson has actually booted another one for the West Coast, so they now are 6-38 to the Kangaroos 4-6-30. David King, Corey Jones, Brent Harvey, Drew Petrie, the goal kickers for the Roos. As I mentioned, Troy Wilson with 2, Chris Judge, Peter Matera, Phil Matera and Ben Cousins, the other kickers for the Eagles. Let's get to results of the first 2 races on the card at Werribee. First up, race number 1, and it was Damien Oliver in the saddle on El Capitan bringing home the money, 270 for the win from Nip of Cognac and Gold Express, 410.50 the trifecta. And in race number 2, it was Pache with Brett Preble in the saddle for 290 from Fra Diavolo and Jug a Naught. No third dividend payout there. Now, over the year, we've highlighted some great marks. We've narrowed down the field to just these 5. Let's take a look.
Stuyven, Long, who's there?
Oh, one-handed mark.
Daniel Roberts.
That is Mark McGrath. That is the best catch you're likely to see. This inside 50 to Smith as he got it. He has. He was pushed forward, got it on the third grab as he hit the ground.
That's a good grab by Smith.
Fun. Bang! It's gone 75 metres to the goal square.
You could see him on the march there, Drew, couldn't you?
Took the climb about third in line.
That's a big grab.
Top marks. If you want to have another look, you can log on to www.footballvic.com.au and just follow the links. Let's go back to the boys out at Tiak Oval and into one of the huddles.
You've got to feel like there's a bit of pressure from behind. Just pressure by
Here
presence.
we go in with Alan Richardson.
We just need to get a fingernail on. Give our defence half a chance. OK, but you blokes have been terrific back there. We need to continue with the run. Good stuff, Tipper. Well done, Hardy. Chrissy Newman, really good stuff. Midfield, we're just not winning enough of the footy, I reckon, in tight. They've just been a little bit cleaner, a little bit more composed. Great stuff, Brad Miller, when you come on there, mate. Tighten up. Westy, he's yours. OK, so you're at stoppages, we need to have a setup where we're a chance to win the footy. But after that, you've got to find him, mate, because he really has hurt us. So you're going to do Westy's doing a one-on-one job on him. If he goes forward, mate, you'll go with him. Heidi, good stuff, mate. Continue to run. Pags, Ez, Eric, Hutto, Pets, and Marty. I reckon our intent has been tremendous. But if we're going further up the field, we just can't allow our bloke to drop off. They've been having blokes that have conceded. If you're going to go up into the stoppage or up into general play, they're going to make sure they help out and get in Marty's path. So if you are pushing up, you've always got to make sure he comes with you. And then we're happy with that. But then as soon as we look like winning the footy, we need blokes to kick to. So you've got to get back in there and look to get front and square. OK, that's really important. Terrific contest, Marty McGraw. All right, mate? Marty. Fantastic stuff, mate. Really good. Didn't have to get in the footy. Created an opportunity for us. Hutto was able to get on the end of it. Really good work. I reckon that just getting tight. The key difference, boys, has been our delivery to our forwards versus theirs. There just has been, to their credit, they've had a lot of pressure on our kick, but there's been a couple of times from the stoppages where I reckon we've held it up a little bit too much, Paige, and we need to give it off by hand and then get in and block. There's no point being clear in footy, boys, if we're not told we're clear. So use our voice. Get in behind and continue to run. Continue to run. I reckon it's almost there. It's a millimetre away. We just got to continue to put pressure on their kick. I reckon too often there's just been a little bit too much time and space for them to be able to kick the ball to Rock's direct opponent or Telbs' direct opponent, and then have been able to set it up, OK? So 30 minutes of really hard two-way running. Come on, let's go.
Well, yeah, that's true, I think, what Alan Richardson's saying about finding the targets. But the problem is, Drew, that you just don't find the targets by necessarily kicking better because you're always under a little bit of pressure. So somehow the targets have got to rework their game a little bit too, and they've got to make sure in the back half that when the ball's lost, that they don't allow them to get it easily up the forward half. And what Richardson then said, Alan Richardson, was about the pressure. They've got to mount pressure on the rebound so that the ball doesn't find its way to the likes of Smith. That's the theory. The practice becomes quite difficult when you're just continually under pressure. And we'll see here, Hyde slips a beautiful pass in to Hudson, and there's a 50-metre penalty paid. That looks really bad from this angle. From the other angle, the player would have cause to mount an appeal. Wouldn't take it to the High Court, but he'd probably take it to a medium court for appeal, but the umpire wouldn't listen anyway. And big job by Vardy down there. He's got the job on Skipper, who is a dangerous player. Been tough in close. Lots of contests. Lots of hard. Look at the pressure. Just endless pressure. And then out she comes to Robertson, and bang. The bloke running from the full back line who's playing on Hudson kicks a goal. 81 possessions, 60-odd to Coburg. Well, they're down on possessions, and they're down on inside 50 because the pressure is seriously mounting on them. Roscoe, we're in with Alan Richardson. Gee, I don't know. I reckon he thinks they're OK and only a whisker off it. I reckon Chris Bond would be reasonably happy, wouldn't he?
He was. He thought the attitude was really good. In this quarter, with a gentle breeze, they've got the advantage of. They're going to have Nathan Saunders very deep down there with Wade Skipper as well. David Smorgan, watching intently Chris Bond, asked him whether he was looking at him as a prospective coach. He said, I always look at everybody.
Well, Vardy's gone into the ruck now for Coburg, which is an interesting change. Free kick to Burse, who had 12 touches in the first quarter. That's number 13. Now a good mark to Smith.
Well, it looks like Daniel Roberts might now have the job on Smith. I think they've made that move. They're worried. There's worry in that back half, Drew. That's where the real problems are, I reckon.
Smith kicked a goal in the opening term. Just 6 goals now for the season. He kicks from 51. Beautiful drop punt. But offline for a behind. Smith, 1 goal, 2.
Well, what Coburg must ensure is that they have to push Smith well up, because once he gets around the 48, 50-metre mark, his percentages drop off rather radically.
Simon Hart, the young son of the champion Royce Hart, kicks into Edney. And Coburg need Edney up the other end of the ground near goals. Here he is in the back pocket. He goes to Talbot. Talbot's still in the back pocket. Well, they're finding it hard to see a way home. He's, what, 3 possessions and they haven't got down to the goal square yet. Di Pasquale across the ground.
Chance now.
Hart to Newman. Chris Newman at right half-back. Now to centre wing. Cracker. Oh, Smith, how did he mark that? A phenomenal mark. Gee, Cracker had his name written all over it, and Smith took an absolute ripper in the same direction as the ball. Comes back to Saunders, who should have marked. Now gives away a free kick.
Confidence down a little bit with Saunders, Drew.
Well, Nathan Saunders played about half the season in the seniors for the Western Bulldogs, but can't get into this yet. Hart goes across the ground. Oh, it's very wide and fumbled over the line by Lee Carlson.
Bad signs for Coburg, really. By kicking so short, you made the point earlier, Drew, going right around the world, aren't they, trying to find a path through the midfield. That's because they can't take any marks. Contested marks, that is, and Smith's mark just typifies the problem in the Coburg game at the moment.
Vardy has gone from full back to in the ruck. Popped over the top by Weston. Time for Newman. Pretty clever. His left footer is really good. And that's a terrific kick. And the mark taken by Pagan. Acting skipper today, son of Denis Pagan. Back with his hand pass. Poyas can't take the mark. And just gets over the boundary line before Miller can grab it.
I suppose they've got to conserve Butler, but I'd have left him in the ruck, really. I think they need Vardy in the back half. Gee, they're very small now. Carlson has had to move across to take up skipper, and boy, that's a big ask.
Yeah, Butler having a rest is okay for Coburg, as Drew said. Vardy into the ruck, 41 there against Bartlett. Cross, Lamb straightens up, punched away from Smith. Setchell threw it out to an opponent in Weston. Wide again. Edney being quiet. Weston ignored Corrett and kicked poorly to Hunter.
Gee, he'll be in trouble. He's just got to not waste the ball, David Weston. That's been one of his flaws, Ross.
Churchill might have to fly. Well, didn't have to get far off the ground. You could see that kick coming up. Pops it high, looking for Saunders. Talbot in trouble this time. Just doubled a bit. Skipper in the square. You know, Saunders is a long kick. Lead from Dyer in the foreground ignored. So, Skipper back down near the point post.
Gee, big kick this.
Yeah, he's a big kick, we know that. Little touch of breeze left to right.
Gee, that's good.
Great skills. Nathan Saunders.
Well, Ross, you mentioned in an earlier call how his time with the Doggies has helped that kicking. He's become a full-time footballer, of course, and that enables you to just improve that couple of percentage points in your game, and that's one of the areas he has improved. I just thought earlier his confidence in marking, I was saying, was a little down, but gee, the way he marked that, there was no problem at all. Then to go back from about 53-4 metres, that is a fantastic goal. And efficiency for the Werribee Tigers, much greater than for Coburg.
Bounce back in the centre. Nice Nico. He gets the call from his fellow umpire that it was a good bounce. Coburg get it going forward on the toe. It's chopped off by Lamb. Oh, Setchell, good mark. And look at the space out here for Bartlett. Now Lamb on the forward 50 or just outside. He can cruise in and have a ping. Jason Lamb.
Trouble.
Saunders. Not quite. Through for a minor score.
Great contrasting strip with Werribee in their away strip, usually black and gold.
Yes, easy for people to pick up at times when it is not good, but this is one of the occasions where people at home can really see it easily, separate the players.
Hart told to hurry up. Skipper lets it slip through. Now he's caught by Edney.
Well, it's inevitable if you continue to pass the ball at 20 metres and those percentages get higher and higher, you're going to be in trouble.
And the bloke who's kicking it to was Edney, who's the smallest bloke in the VFL.
All right, Hardy. Play footy. Churchy. Okay. Play footy, okay?
Umpire Stephen Grun, very experienced VFL umpire, certainly knows his players, if not their Christian names. Bartlett nicely down to Churchill. He gets the whole axe by Weston, and a high tackle on Shane Burse.
Looked right.
On the boundary line there, it is. Yeah, both by Corrette, both left and right shoulders. He's a beautiful kick too, Shane Burse, but tight angle. Well, they're known for their skills or working on it at the Whitten Oval, Phil, and that's an example, I think.
Oh, they're in good nick, no doubt about it. They've just got too many aces, really. They're bigger and strong, bigger than Coburg. That's the key issue there. And Burse there kicking a beautiful goal. And I'm not sure whether David Weston has the job on him. We'll find it. David Weston was given a task at... no, he's not in the huddle, not in the centre there. But Weston was certainly giving a tagging job.
Back in the middle, Vardy wasn't watching. Straight at him, and that's what the umpire saw as well. Free kick, Bartlett. So you're in a bit of trouble when you put a non-specialist ruckman in there and they can do those sort of things. Hand pass comes back to Bartlett. Long towards full forward. Saunders with one hand. Punched by Talbot to the front. Setchell, only 35 out from goal. Lamb, 45 out. Will it make it? Goal by Leon. No, just offline, a minor score. He's kicked 2 behinds this quarter. But it's looking very, very ominous here for Coburg. Werribee finished second on the ladder and Coburg third. But already the margin is 28 points.
Newman kicks to the lead of Vardy and Poyas. Miller. Hyde had good presence of mind. Stopped the movement forward. Vardy, then Poyas. And Pagan. Talbot calling for it wide. Sets up. Still enough time as Saunders bears down on him. Wants to go, Talbot. Helps being a left footer. Didn't kick it as well as he'd like, but good acceleration by Edney to take the mark low down. He's well outside 50. Congested forward line. No tools really back there for them. He goes wide to the pocket, therefore. And Poyas has it knocked away by Picken.
Well, what happens is when you don't have targets, when you don't have tools, you go wide. It's just part of the game. It's sort of psychological and it's practical too, because they start leading there. And it becomes a bigger and bigger problem.
Well, they worked it well, Werribee. Robbins across the ground to Smith. Robertson. Oh, look at this, Setchell. They are carving them up at the moment. Setchell's hand pass. Oh, that was a poor hand pass for Cross. Comes to Talbot. He is under siege down there. And a ball up. Setchell not happy with himself with his disposal by hand.
I think Vardy's gone back and they've put Butler back into the ruck, which I thought they would have to do anyway. Very hard for Vardy to play full back and then play on the ruck and then back to full back. I mean, that kills you.
Bartlett. The hand pass comes back. And a kick here by Jack. Out to the pocket. There's Vardy back in the last line of defence. De Pasquale. Oh, ball beautifully kept in by Jack. Churchill. And eventually out.
So you just got to think what Coburg can do. They've got to find some taller targets in their forward half to put a. They've got to put some pressure on the Werribee back half. They've got to somehow find someone to test the back half and then take some. It'll ease the pressure off them in the midfield.
Butler's back on. He's worked under it. Werribee take possession. Lamb to Jack. They like it.
Easy as you like, Roscoe.
6 goals, 7 to Werribee, and they're really asserting their authority in this qualifying final against Coburg.
Well, they've got too many cards up the sleeve for Coburg, and the pressure just getting bigger and bigger. I sound like a broken down record, but it is really the fact that they can't mount any pressure in their forward half, Coburg, and so the back half then just is feeling the weight of the Werribee attack. Got to find someone up in that forward half.
Well, the winner here today goes on to play Port Melbourne in the preliminary final in a couple of weeks' time, and the loser plays the winner of today's other game between Williamstown and the Murray Kangaroos. And at the moment, unless things change dramatically, it will be Werribee going on to the preliminary final. Coburg have managed just 1 goal, and we're approaching the 12-minute mark of the second quarter. Blood rule.
Let's see the good thinking there. The minute Bartlett went off, Skipper just took himself straight into the ruck. Hardly needed to be said. Just a quick chat down in the forward half, and off they went.
Okay, they're ready. Butler, number 12. Who's his opponent in ruck? Skipper now. Well, they work it out. Miller. Pagan, number 21, gives chase. Gets over the ball. Faulkner's got him. Holding it.
Good decision by Stefan Grun, no doubt. In she goes, no question about that.
Sean Smith flies high in the middle of the packet. He's relishing up there in the forward line. Boyd trying to wrench it clear with strength and does so, then's dragged to ground. Smith, look at him go, threw it out. Hudson was the recipient of that illegal throw. Faulkner in trouble, he's gone.
That's good decision by the umpire.
Advantage played. Who Cracker won the free.
He's one of the best tacklers.
Sorbat. Oh, yes it is. Pettifer's loose. Straight in front, 40 metres out.
And good work by Stefan Grun. Consistency, Drew. You know, that's what you want as a player. He paid one against Pagan, and then he responded by paying one for Coburg. So nice, good umpiring. And good work by Poyas, getting it over to Pettifer. But, gee, it's hard yakka, isn't it, when you've got to keep finding blokes with 15-metre passes. And they cannot afford to be missing any. 5 goals and a bit in it already. And stretching out, and they're under deep pressure.
So Hunter right on the mark, said the umpire. Let's hope Pettifer doesn't run too close, as did Burse. He's kicked truly. They've got their second. Coburg.
Well, they can't win unless Pettifer and Cracker and Poyas get a lot of the football. McGrath's hardly sighted it to date because it hasn't really been in his territory. And he's not a real tall, although he plays a bit tall. He's a big leaper. But it's hard yakka for the Coburg boys. Maybe Flaherty could have a look up there. We saw him play on the forward line, and he gives them a little bit of height.
The Butler against Skipper. Werribee, they just forced the turnover in the middle of the ground and kicked by Faulkner. Deep inside the 50. Saunders waiting for an outcome. Ball's not coming clear.
Good play, Newman. Playing down there at half-back.
Played quite a lot of league football this year with Richmond. Comes from Beaconsfield.
Out of the Richmond side this week. He's been good. Here's Corrett. Di Pasquale, non-preferred foot. Seeks the boundary. Finds it. Pettifer couldn't get to it. Churchill goes to the bench, just having a warm-up. And they're going up the race. No, he's going onto the bike. Butler.
Doing all right, the big bloke.
Somebody said to Churchill, on your bike, son.
Matthew Robbins. Half-back back from a hamstring. Thumps it long. Saunders the target. Talbot at the back with the spoil. Robertson, good give. Jack puts it high. The goal square's vacant. And just there with the punch in the nick of time, Lee Carlson.
Yes, Churchill, they keep them mobile now. Of course, you don't just go and sit on the bench. Well, sometimes you do, but you actually need to keep yourself freed up, and he's been out for a while, so if he sits down for too long, he'll get nice and stiff.
Yeah. Christian Di Pasquale. Oh, gee, that makes it awkward. Taylor does okay to Cracker. And the kick by Cracker in the direction of Pettifer. Good gather and give. Off to Weston. But he's buffeted off the ball. Now Robertson clears. And to his mate Faulkner. They both came from the Geelong Falcons. Teammates there, teammates here. To centre half forward. He gets through the pack to Vardy. Hand pass out high to half forward. Poyas. Good movement. Now the next kick needs to be good for Coburg. Kick by Poyas. Well, this won't be close enough to goal. Talbot up from defence. Still kicking a bit to goal. Newman. 49 metres out.
Well, it's one way to get a goal, but I tell you what, it's hard in the mouth stuff, isn't it? Because the pinpoint passing, you know, invariably you will get some errors in amongst that, and as the errors grow, then the game becomes tougher. And he's still outside. He's going to kick from outside 50. So it's a lot of work to get a bloke to have a shot at goal. And she's all covered. There's one. What chance? He's got to kick well. Can he kick well?
They kicked the last goal. Can they get two in a row? Got the distance okay.
Free kick to Werribee.
And play on by hand. Picken clears out of defence. And Robbins.
Kick to centre wing. Bit of a push by Harris. Got away with it. Finds Smith outside 50. Hand pass at the feet of Boyd. Made it difficult. Good composure. All back there, Talbot. Half volleys it through. Another rush behind. Fighting Talbot. The easy kick. Second one okay to Weston. Can he use it? Furs a hand pass. Finds a man. Eddie to centre wing. Underneath it, Corrett. Good play, Hudson. Been kept out quiet. That's hard for Taylor. Did well to take possession. No time. Under pressure from Dyer. Now Poyas. Kicks to the leaning forward. Oh, great mark, McGrath from the back. With strength in the hands.
Well, he's a big leaper, Ross. If they can get it down to him quickly, he's the one player who can play like a tall. The big raps on him.
Well, Morris, who sat on the bench, didn't know what happened there. He thought, here, I'm going to get a mark. Suddenly, McGrath's over the top.
He had him pretty early too, Morris. Roscoe, I don't know, he was named on the interchange. I don't know how quickly he got on, but I looked down there early and I think he had him. Gee, they need this. They're chipping away, aren't they?
Going for their third. McGrath, first kick. Looks all right.
Gee, they needed that. That's a good result. Still a bit of life in the old game yet. And the team that once was Lions, Ross, need to find a bit of the old Lion spirit. But, sorry?
And their opposition with the Bees.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll go. Who knows what. But McGrath there, if you get the ball down to him quickly, put it up in the air and give him a chance. A lot of pinpoint passing, and finally it's this bloke who does it with the big lead. They're just hanging in, Coburg, but maybe if they can hang in long enough, they can just rejig this game, find some strategies to put pressure on the Tigers.
Well, that's not a one-off by McGrath. We saw in the highlights at quarter time in the candidates for Mark of the Year, he was in there. So he certainly can do it. Drafted last year from South Fremantle, just 18 years of age. Coburg have kicked the last two, and in some circles, two in a row regarded as a run-on. So they can get the next one, that might really send some shakes through Werribee. Burst, long to full forward. Saunders out positioned, and Vardy will take a free kick.
Gee, that was a natural mark, really. God, they were both at it.
Talbot brings it out. Correct. Look, they're going a lot better now, but that was a disappointing kick, and the mark has been taken by Jack.
Yeah, they can't afford to turn the ball over like that when they're under pressure.
Shane Jack from centre wing to centre half forward. Saunders!
You see Talbot there got caught out of the contest. I tell you what, there's only one bloke in the back half who can handle Saunders, and it's Talbot. And he was not in that contest.
Well, he kicked one from 53 metres earlier this quarter, so on balance, this should be a soda. Right in front, and he'll be kicking from about 47. He only had the one kick for a goal.
Yeah. Well, Talbot's a very, very good player.
Nathan Saunders waited a long, long time to be elevated to AFL football. He was elevated this year. See, he doesn't go anywhere near the mark. Kicks from outside 50 and gets it.
A pretty handy return, the two possessions. A bit happening there, eh?
Well, tell you what, looks like Werribee's next game will be a preliminary final. You don't want to be getting a 2-week suspension. You might miss out on being in a premiership.
Well, the funny thing is here that Vardy's now got the job on Talbot. Sorry, Vardy has the job on Saunders, and Talbot has now gone deeper back. I don't think he should be that far there.
Tigers trying to clear it. Burst, Flaherty in there too. I think he might have now been the ruck, Phil, isn't it, Flaherty?
Well, Harris has come on, so Talbot's picked up Harris.
Yeah, he has, but I don't see the point of Talbot taking Harris. He just should be, he should stick on Saunders. Once you've got Saunders under pressure and you've got his measure, why let him out and let another player get hold of him who he might have the wood on?
Edney bounces off the tackle. Robbins. Gee, spotted that early. Playing confidently. Kicks to Burst. Robertson. Now, Saunders the target again. Lamb's up as well. Talbot. Oh, he brought it down. A few ironical cheers. I don't know that they're directed at Talbot.
I don't think so. Oh, gee, this is
Carlson. Hyde. In front, and the mark paid to Flaherty. Quick give to Poyas. Pettifer calling it short. Poyas prefers to go long to McGrath.
Oh, this kid is just a good player. Well, that should give them a bit of heart, Ross. They can see that if they get it in quickly, it's all right if they fiddle a bit in the back half to hold possession, but he's got to be your target, this bloke. And Flaherty, I said that earlier, didn't I? Would have got him on because he's a bit of height. They've got to mount pressure in the Werribee back half. Once they put some pressure on, and then Chris Bond's had nothing to think about at the moment. Alan Richardson's got to stare him. He's got to eyeball him now and say, right, I'll exert some pressure up in your back half and then see what you do with your players.
McGrath going for his second. It's 30 points the margin. He has got it.
Well, he's a bright spark, this boy.
And Phil, you talk about height, it's all relative because Flaherty's just 191 in the ruck.
Yeah.
They've got to do it. I know.
Yeah, they do, Ross, because, look, look, Bartlett's not a big man, so you've got to size him up and you say, look at Bartlett, right, we can cover Bartlett. Or now they've moved, Bartlett's off the ground, but they're making some moves. But if Flaherty can do something and they can just shunt a few players around, Richardson can't win the game as coach of Coburg unless he comes up with some innovative moves.
Well, they've kicked 3 out of the last 4 goals. And going a lot better now, Coburg. Robbins, hand pass up in the air, goes nowhere. Intercepted by Hyde. Poyas. Stumped down, chance for Hudson. Here's McGrath again, he's got 2. Plays all right at ground level as well as in the air. Robbins Somehow keeps the ball in. Burst. He's had a heap of it today. Jack. Centre wing to centre half forward. Vardy has to go the punch. Does it well. Smith just gets the hands free to Jack. Run down by Pettifer. And in the back. Free kick to Jack.
Good decision. Bad tackle. Bad tackle. Every coach is under pressure, but Chris Bond is under less pressure than Alan Richardson because he's got a bit more in the arsenal, more variation. And Coburg lost that ball in the back half, Ross, on the boundary line. That was bad too. They should have made sure that ball went out of bounds. They just laid off, eased the pressure, didn't they?
Pettifer didn't tackle him.
No, exactly right. And they could have got a rest.
Jack for his second goal this quarter. 49 metres. It's left.
Coming back.
Swing on it.
That's a good kick. Gee, the players kick the ball long now. People talk about the old game of footy, but gee, players now are so skilled, you know. I talk the game's changed, sure, but you get a bloke now outside 50 and they just bang them through easy as pie. They couldn't do that in the old game. Oh, there were a few big kickers around in the old game, but now there's a bad... Yeah, it was a bad... I don't know whether that was Christian Di Pasquale who might have given that away. Came in from the side. I think it was a clip to the ear, and the umpire was right on it.
And Skipper going off under the blood rule. You see the...
Bartlett, you see, look at this. They can move Skipper and Bartlett in the ruck, and you look at Flaherty, who's got a ruck. You know, he's only a kid, and he hasn't got the height, as you said, Ross. And now Harris goes in, he's taller again.
Yeah, he was like a Melbourne Cup winner or a Drew Morford trained horse to take the ruck contest.
Yeah.
I'll have a go, he said, and Bartlett sort of hobbles down into the forward line. Leaves lots of space for Saunders, playing right deep in the square.
Well done, Flaherty.
Yeah, particularly well. High. Coburg free kick to be taken by Weston.
Umpires are doing a pretty good job, really. They've missed, I don't think they've missed much.
Oh, Robertson drops the mark. Comes to Hudson, who's Robertson's man. Poyas, short of the goal square. McGrath again! Aussie up a mile. That would have been the best of the three.
Well, this is clear for them now that that's one bright spark in that forward half, boys. So look at this. What they've got to do is give him space, get it down quickly. See how you go.
That was just all jump, wasn't it?
Hunter's in trouble. He's got some pressure. He kicks it out of bounds deliberately.
And should be free kick. That's absolutely deliberate kick straight out of bounds.
Not a bad crowd in now too. They build up around about the 1 o'clock start. A lot of people on the grass, you know, up that section of the ground. And all our boys and girls from the ETU and likes in a couple of weeks, Ross, and I said a big workers' picnic day here.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
Burst in trouble.
Slow.
Did look at the
slow.
McGrath. Edney held without it. Umpire letting it go. Morris finds Jack. Yeah, that was out.
You just wonder whether McGrath is going to be able to do that at AFL level.
No hope.
He's been drafted by Richmond last year.
178, they've got him listed as he could. Well, he could do it. He could still fly like that, but he couldn't play a key position.
Flaherty pushed underneath it by Harris. Knezovic in front. Weston did well. Back to Carlson.
Oh, see this. You just can't pinpoint and find targets like that, Ross. Kills you.
Harper's flat-footed.
Gee, this bloke's a good player.
Kicks long to Talbot.
How's the way he eased Saunders out of that contest then? Just beautiful play.
Pettifer. Sitting back in the hole is Hunter. There's the siren. Sounds for half-time in the second qualifying final. A good quarter to the Tigers. They kicked 5 goals. There's Werribee. And the other Tigers, Coburg, kicked 3. And they lead by 30 points.
Well, I suppose a good sign, Ross, is that they've got some goals, Coburg. They're under pressure. There's no question about it. There's a lot of height, more height in that Werribee side. And Alan Richardson, the coach of the Coburg side, is really being stretched. I just don't know. I'd have to have a good look at that side and see what you might be able to do. And we'll talk about it later, but he needs to put pressure on his counterpart, Chris Bond. He's got to exert pressure on him somewhere in that forward half, so Chris Bond has to think about who he's going to move down there. At the moment, it's all a bit too easy for Werribee. Coburg under deep pressure, trying to kick short, spin the ball around, and in the end, it's going to be hard, and that lead could just grow and grow till they have got no hope of winning. But still, can he come up with something creative at half-time? Let's hope for the sake of everyone watching that he can.
So a 30-point lead at half-time to Werribee. Saunders with 2 goals, Jack with 2, and multiple for Coburg is McGrath, who's marked everything and kicked 2 goals as well. So at half-time, it's 8-9 to 4 goals 3. Still a contest here at Port Melbourne in the second qualifying final. Back in the studio, Beverly.
Thanks so much, Drew. We're going to get straight to the races this afternoon, and the first 3 races on the card at Werribee. Here's the closing stages of race number 1.
Cello next, and then Ladies Circles and Nip of Cognac. King Bull, Ladies Senorita. They come around the turn together now and down to the 200. Gold Express runs on. El Capitan is getting up behind them. Nip of Cognac and Cello are coming. Ladies Senorita had the lead narrowly. El Capitan drives through now along the inside. El Capitan grabbed the lead, and El Capitan won from either Nip of Cognac or Gold Express for the minor.
So El Capitan, 270 for the win. Nip of Cognac into second and Gold Express third, 4:10.50 the trifecta. Here's race 2.
Railed beautifully though and kicked out by 2 or 3. Here comes Piace, went straight past Twig, who got tightened up. Then Juggernaut, Piace after Fra Diavolo. Piace took the lead now, 100 to go, starts to pull clear, and he's drawing right away in the run home, Piace, and he won it well. Piace beat Fra Diavolo by 2.5, Juggernaut third. Then
yeah, Brett Preble with a convincing win on Piace from Fra Diavolo and Juggernaut, 78.40 the Quinella. Here's race 3.
Tumors battling. Multilux made ground, but Salerno came away in the early part of the straight, and he's out by 3 lengths now. Salerno passing the 200 ahead of Shikoto. Flying Chance, Multiluck, and then Miss Diaz, but Salerno was well clear with about 50 metres to go. 4 in front of Flying Chance, and it's Salerno all the way, winning it easily. Salerno first, Flying Chance second. Miss Diaz might have grabbed third.
So rank outside is Salerno paying 26.20 for the win from Flying Chance and Ms. Diaz. To cycling now, and earlier in the year on the night of the Austral Wheel Race, the Aces Scratch Race was also held at Vodafone Arena. Your commentators today, Clinton Gribus and Barry McNaught.
And you join us in progress, the 25-lap scratch race. 25 starters for it, the final event of the program on Austral Night 2002. So therefore, some of the riders here pretty tired. It includes the Austral winner from earlier this evening in Darren Young, the Tasmanian, along with Shane Kelly in this event as well. So all of the elite riders are here, and we're finally seeing our first breakaway, Barry, with 12 laps remaining, and the man who's making the move is Lee DeLuca.
Yes, Lee DeLuca, a very strong rider from the Northcote Club here in Melbourne, but they're not going to let him go too far, and Ryan Barley is one of those that accelerates to bring him back. Just behind Barley, the Tasmanian going along there too and cutting in the red and green. Also up near the front there is Decker at third wheel in the red and green down stripes and the orange helmet.
And given the night he's had, I fancy the man leading at the moment, Ryan Bailey, will be very keen to finish the night in good fashion and be right up there at the end of this race.
One of the things we'd need to see him do, though, is probably stay in the front dozen or so.
So it's the American Mike Tillman leading from Daniel Cutting as they come down with 5 laps remaining in this 25-lap race. And Tillman just being passed by a couple there. Cutting happy to take over the lead from Decker, working through Gareth Atkins and Todd Brooks right up there as well.
Yes, well, it's a strong move on the front here from Cutting. Decker is almost a Tasmanian. He seems to race over there as much as he does in Victoria, and he's sitting there in second spot. And they've really got the power on and really stretching them out as they wind around to get 3 laps to go.
So the lead still with Daniel Cutting just in front of Tim Decker, who's had a good evening already, and now Cutting pulls away and Tim Decker assumes the race lead. Gareth Atkins in second wheel, then Todd Wilkes right up there as well. And lurking ominously with that number 1 on his back is Shane Kelly. He's fourth wheel with 2 laps to go.
Yes, and the American Tillman right behind him. They open up a bit of a gap there, but I think that with a lap and a half to cover, Decker starts to wilt, and around the outside there goes Gareth Atkins, another Tasmanian, and Wilkes parked on his wheel with Kelly there at the bell.
So can Shane Kelly finish the night in style? He's third wheel at the moment. Tom Wilkes. Kelly won't be able to go with them. Could be the Austral winner, Darren Young. Could he do it again? He's got Wilkes to beat. Wilkes in front. Young won't get him. Wilkes wins. Young second. The American third. Great ride there by Mike Tillman. But let's acknowledge our winner, Todd Wilkes, holding off some big names there to win the scratch race.
Well, we'd like to have another look at this, which I'm sure we will in a minute. Around the home turn, Wilkes the leader, Young making the move. Watch Wilkes as he comes out of the sprint line. See that?
Yeah.
And he's possibly infringed. We'll just have to wait till we get the all clear from the judges. Wilkes driving to the line. Young gives up. He knows that perhaps there's an opportunity there where they may take this race from Wilkes.
Here's another look at it now. The officials deciding no case to answer for Todd Wilkes. Although, as we look at it again, he did make Darren Young work awfully hard.
Wobbled. Sum it up in a word, he wobbled.
And so Todd Wilkes claims the scratch race, and he was pretty happy to finish the night in style ahead of Darren Young and Mike Tillman.
So first place to Todd Wilkes, second place to Darren Young, and third place there to Mike Tillman. The time was 20 minutes, 7:37 seconds. Well, we've had some big name retirements during this year in the AFL season. Matthew Knights was one of those from Richmond. He's standing by with Phil Cleary back at Tiak Oval. Phil.
Thanks, Beverly. It's Father's Day, and my two sons gave me this hat. What's your opinion?
Very attractive.
Thank you very much. And I've got Matty Knights with me too, and he's got a boy and a girl, so he's had a good Father's Day. What did they do for you this morning?
Had a good Father's Day. They brought me in a couple of books early this morning, and I went out with a few mates of mine last night, and they woke me up a little bit earlier than I would have liked, Phil, but I had a good day with them.
So what's the former Richmond champion reading these days?
Well, I got a bit of Phil Jackson walking with the Bulls, and yeah, so a bit of that going on, and but I've never done much reading in the past, but really getting into it, so the kids are right on the ball.
Good stuff. Well, look, put your coaching cap on today. We've got the Coburg side down by a handful of goals. What would you do?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's hard with Steinfort missing. If they had him in the ruck, they may be able to push Vardy forward and really worry Chris Bond up back and to make some changes. But Saunders has played well. Smith's getting on the lead. So the positive is for Coburg, they got back into that late in the quarter. They got back going and got the last 10 minutes was some reasonable footy.
I suppose McGrath there giving them a chance, but you'd notice this, the number of times they've had to kick the ball short, Coburg, haven't they? And that's a worry, isn't it?
Well, when you kick it short, you tend to have to go sideways and chip it around the boundary, and that's not their style of game. They're a fast-moving side, and I think that's what Alan Richardson will be urging them in the second half, to get on their bikes and run hard. Yeah, well, I mean, Steinford's obviously a problem. You reckon Vardy, you might give him a run up there in the forward half to maybe test Chris Bond to get him to have to work that magnetic boards? Yeah, well, you'd love to have Vardy at both ends because he's just a terrific spoiler in the gates, but he can also take a good mark on the lead. So I think if things get desperate, I think they'll probably leave him down back to start with, but if things get desperate, they might look at moving him.
Can't win the game. Now, what about that fella Talbot at centre-half back? I mean, how good a player is he?
Well, I've just watched him in the first half, and I'm watching him a bit this year, and his poise down back, his calmness, his willingness to actually get there and show a fair bit of leadership has just been great for the club, and I know the Coburg Tigers think a lot of him. Yeah. But I tell you what, he's really shown that he could nearly take the next step.
Well, he couldn't he? I was just thinking of that 20. He's as cool as a cucumber, isn't he? And he just minds his man, and he just calmly gets there and uses the ball well.
I think we saw an indication of that, a mark in the last 10 minutes there. We just edged his man under the ball, took the mark. And his use of the footy is second to none, I believe, in the VFL. So, yeah, I believe he could nearly take the next step.
So, can the Coburg side get up?
I believe they can. I mean, both coaches, I think, Chris Bond would be pretty happy with the start. Yeah. But I think Alan Richardson would have taken a fair few positives out of that last 10 minutes. And as I said, if they can get on their bike and start stretching Werribee on the run, I think they might be a chance. So I think Coburg can still get up.
Good on you, Matty. Great to talk with you. Happy Father's Day. There you go, Beverly. Back to you. We think we're still in with a chance, and I'm not going to be biased in the second half, just I've been so fair in the first half, haven't I?
Is that a coaching cap that you've got on?
They bought it at the primary school, I think. They had one of those stalls.
A slightly wider brim than you'd have a South American feel. Thank you very much, Phil. Don't know what the players would have made of him if he'd turned up in that and given them instructions. Well, Port Melbourne yesterday secured themselves a week's rest with a solid victory over minor premiers Geelong. Coach David Dunbar has joined us in the studio this afternoon, and welcome. Congratulations yesterday, Phil. Sorry, Phil, David. I've got you without a coaching cap on, but it must have been a great relief to come away with a victory. It was a really solid match. They kept coming at you.
Yeah, look, it was probably a bit, we were all a bit edgy there the last couple of minutes when the ball was in Geelong forward line, but to the boys' credit, we held on and won by 7 points.
Great finish to the season too, finishing in 4th spot and getting that second chance as well. So you must be pretty pleased with the way the season went.
Yeah, well, it was the last few weeks it was a bit nerve-wracking, I suppose, trying to secure that double chance. But when we beat Springvale down at Werribee, we did that, and it gave us something to focus on with the finals once we got that double chance. Let's
take a look at some of the highlights of yesterday's match, and you've got a couple of really fabulous players really just running into some terrific form. Take us through some of this. This is Buchanan, who in fact won the man of the match.
Yeah, look, Cayman's been in good form of late, but he's kicking for goal. Sometimes, I think last week he kicked 2 goals, 3, but yesterday he was a bit more accurate, but he's been in good form, and yeah, he's a quick player, and he finishes very well.
And you've got Scotty Stevens too, who's turning into a little champion.
Yeah, Scotty has played a good role for us over the last couple of weeks. He kicked 6 last week against Sandringham, and then he got 5 yesterday. So he's probably you know, in as good as form as you'd get.
How are you finding the blend? You know, we'll talk about this more in a moment, but the Swans players coming in. I mean, you've got the unusual task of having your affiliated side well away from you in Sydney.
Yeah, it was something that I spoke to the guys about on Friday. As a whole club, we had an early training session on Friday, and the Sydney Swans were down for that. And yeah, I don't think there's too many sporting organisations in Australia or even in the world where you're 700 k's apart. So it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time and effort. But if we can continue the way we're going, I think it'll be an enormous achievement, particularly by those fellas involved in it, to make it work.
And Peter Philandia really very strong for you yesterday, particularly in the first half.
Yeah, look, Pete went into the game pretty crook, had a bad flu, and we didn't know how he was going to go, how he was going to manage that, but he's got a big heart, Peter.
And take a minute to watch this goal. Whoa!
Yeah.
That was one of the goals of must have been the goal of the season, but rivaling some of the AFL goals kicked this year too.
Yeah, look, he did well to hold McGrath out, who's a lot taller than him for a start, but then to back up again and kick that goal was miraculous.
Now, I mean, tough for him too, because we won't go through too much of the details, but a fairly sensational start for the year for him. He had to really sort of regroup, and I guess very disappointing for you, you know, to have your captain in that position at the start of the year.
Yeah, look, it was the first couple of days when that occurred. Obviously it made a lot of news and there was a lot of pressure on Peter, and he handled himself pretty well, I thought, considering the amount of publicity that it achieved. But yeah, he's put all that behind him, and he's a leader, a strong leader for us, and he was terrific yesterday. And to Port's credit, you obviously sat down and talked about it, and you could have taken fairly strong disciplinary action, but you looked above and beyond and saw the qualities that he did have. Yeah, at Port Melbourne, I suppose, we really got behind Peter and supported him as much as we possibly could. He went through a fair bit, as I say, through the media. He got a 10-week suspension, but all along the way he threw himself into his coaching and worked on his fitness, and all he wants to do now is play footy and play well. And so it's coming through good at the end, the second half of the season. And we've got a young side, and Peter's a leader there that we need, and you get 110% on the ground with Peter every time. Which is terrific. And he had some high-profile player, well, one in particular at the start of the year too. I mean, is that a bit of a circus for you when Tony Lockett came in to play at Port Melbourne? There was so much publicity surrounding. I think everyone remarked as he arrived at the ground in a stretch limo, something a little different for VFL. Yeah, look, we spoke as a group before Tony came down. There was probably the week before it looked like he may play. So I talked it through with the group just to put the boys at ease a bit and just let them know that he was just another footballer when it's all said and done, and we had to do the right thing by him and make him welcome and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, on that particular day when he came down to play against Werribee, it was pretty much a fairy tale end to the game where we came from behind and Tony Lockett had played and kicked 4 goals, and there was a lot of people there, so it was huge for the VFL, huge for our club. But he must have been a bit of a distraction when you were trying to talk to the boys, did you find? A lot of the guys, our guys, the Port Melbourne fellas, had to sort of take them up one by one and introduce them to Tony Lockett. And Tony himself's a pretty shy sort of fella, so he just met them one by one and they shook hands, and yeah, they went, you know, from there. But he's a tremendous, you know, player. Yeah, tremendous player for the game, and to have him pull on the Port Melbourne jumper was great.
Yeah, just terrific. How are you finding the coaching position? Of course, this is your 3rd year as senior coach, and having done a bit of an apprenticeship at Port before moving to the Hawthorn side.
Yeah, we have gone through a bit of a change, I suppose, over the last few years. At the end of 2000, we made some decisions on players and moved a few on and a few left, and we just basically gone through a development program with young guys. And last year, we didn't know where we would finish, but with the young fellas, they improved quickly, and we just finished a game outside the 8 last year. And this year, we've probably exceeded where we thought we would be. But it's been a terrific effort by the young fellas to work the way they have and get ourselves in a position.
It's always tricky to manage those sort of expectations when you get a little bit further than you perhaps wanted to or thought you might. Then you've got to manage their expectations, but also let them understand that it's not easy to get to play finals footy. Yeah,
and I think the good thing about yesterday was we had our reserves in and we had our senior side in, and they've gone into a final as a young group for the first time, and we've won. So at least now it's not as if we've had to play for 4 years or whatever to get into a final, find out what it's like, lose and all that type of thing. We've gone in now after 2 years and won a final, and these guys now know what it takes.
Great experience.
Yeah, good experience.
Before we cross back out to Tiac Oval and have Drew and Phil join us in our discussion with David, let's update the AFL matches underway, and it's a very close tussle. Well, it was when I looked a little while ago between the Kangaroos and the West Coast, but West Coast pulling away a little. The Kangaroos, with David King, has 4 of their 10 goals. Drew Petrie has 2 of their 10 as well. For the West Coast, Troy Wilson and Phil Matera, the only multiples with 2 each. The other AFL match just underway, Carlton with 1 behind Essendon, well out of their starting blocks, 3-5-23. And in the other VFL match of the day, of course, the second elimination final between Williamstown and Murray Kangaroos. Pretty close, just 2 behinds the difference between the two, 21-19. Let's go back out to Tiac Oval before we wrap up with David to perhaps give the boys a chance to pose a few questions to David. And he's a happy man with a bit of a week's rest coming up, boys.
Yes, well, Beverly, I have got a question. David, well done. I thought it was terrific. 14 Port players yesterday. And if you were just in a nutshell, tactically, what was the big message before the game in terms of the strategies to win the game? Because there were a lot of big players in that Geelong side, but you did really well. I thought your balance was great.
Yeah, I think the key to Geelong this season has been their tall forward line. So we really had to apply a lot of midfield pressure to make sure the delivery wasn't as good as it probably has been. And then with our back line, the boys really had to work hard to make sure they've got a fist on it, got it to the ground, and we got our support down there. So, look, the thing was the 22 blokes were pretty determined to do well yesterday, and we got off to a good start, and they just kept the pressure up for 4 quarters.
Who's the
Have
side
you put
to beat?
Philander in cotton wool?
Yeah, we will. You know, he was pretty crook during the week and with the flu, and the doctors and physios came to me at half-time and said he was 2/3 spent then, so we knew we had to rest him up along the way, but yeah, he'll have a pretty light week this week.
David, who do you think's the side to beat in this final series?
Oh, I think it's pretty even. Anyone can win it on any day. So, I mean, after this weekend, there'll be 6 teams left. So any one of those 6 can win it. There's, you know, it's every week's
anyone's
different.
game. Yeah. David, thank you so much for coming in, and good luck with the rest of the series.
Pleasure.
David Dunbar, the coach of Port Melbourne. Boys, back to you. And as you said, perhaps Coburg still have got a fighting chance.
Yeah, maybe they trail by 5 goals at half-time, but just a word on Port. They're just 1 win away from a grand final spot.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that was their weekly form, but we hadn't seen it from them before. That was their best performance for the year. It had to be.
Oh, and I think David would agree. We were entitled to say that it was out of 3 sides, you know, Coburg, Werribee and Geelong on the basis of the form. But yesterday, they put themselves up there in lights. They looked very good. And, you know, they've got a great history here, Port, the 70s and 80s. They won about 6 premierships, and that side yesterday is very good.
Now, what about Coburg? Can a side with such a short forward line get up and from 5 goals behind at half-time and win?
I don't think they will, but they have to take a punt. Drew, and you like a punt? There's sometimes you've got to take a punt. He's got to try to rejig that forward half. He's got to find someone up there, like even if he puts a Vardy or he puts a Tall, rests them out of the forward square so that Chris Bond's got to respond, you know, and he may have to shunt someone. He's got to ease the pressure. I mean, maybe taking one out of the back half's a problem, but he can't win it unless he does that. I don't think he can win the game. You can't say they're not going hard enough. They are doing all of those things. They're trying hard, but they just haven't got the pressure in the right zones at the moment.
And they look pretty focused there, Werribee. And, well, they are just one win away from a preliminary final berth, and they're halfway to it. Ross goes down on the boundary line. Ross?
Yes, Drew, just a little bit of a breeze for Coburg to have. They feel they're going to change tactics, that keepings off football that Phil was talking about. They're going to try and be a bit more direct, kicking with the breeze this quarter. Pat Steinfort, disappointed not to be out there. Hopes he doesn't have to play next week if Coburg were to lose, but he should be back next week if he were available the following week. And Trent Bartlett, they say he's okay, but he left under the blood rule, but he was icing that knee last week, but we'll keep a look on him. And so we'll just see whether Coburg can get back into this game. And Phil, the Port ladies are saying, actually, you were right yesterday. There are only 3 sides in it. That's Geelong, Werribee and Port Melbourne.
Coburg left right out. You don't want to get into an argument with him here today, do you, Phil?
No, I don't.
No. Thought that'd be about right. Well,
and they have the last laugh because Coburg is struggling and they're not.
so it's a 30-point lead to Werribee going into the second half. 8-9 to 4-3. Bartlett up early, but comes out without the football. Pagan out of the middle. Gee, that was almost a clever mark to Taylor. Taylor again. Burst another touch. Kingsley Hunter spreads out the hand pass, and the whistle's gone after the hand pass had been given. It's a free kick to Hunter. He goes across in front of goal. And they decide to go the other way. Robertson. His kick outside the 50. Dyer. Well, he's against Dyer because he led with his elbow or his forearm and has given it high. It goes to Hart. He kicks long to Hudson. Had a chance. Now Hudson becomes the tackler, and illegally it was going to be a free kick. Advantage goes to Lamb, who kicks close to the boundary line, and the mark is taken by Faulkner. The skipper playing his 100th game today in a final. Dyer loses the ball in the tackle. It goes to Hunter, who bursts through the middle. Kick by Hunter to centre half forward. Smith can't take the mark. Flaherty on all fours gets it away to Pagan. High to the wing. Pettifer makes a contest of it. They need to do it all over the ground. Ezra Poyas. And Pettifer. Edney. Pagan. Poyas again. And long towards full forward. McGrath. The mark. He gave away the hand pass to Hudson, who gets the goal.
Well, Ross, Alan Richardson, you've told us, has said they've got to go direct, and there's an example. Going straighter, get it down to McGrath, Drew. He was good. He took the mark. He handed off to Hudson. That's how they'll win the game. Got to move it down quickly. And if you can't do that, you've still got to put some pressure on in that back up. Their hands have been pretty good. The in-close game's been good. Look at McGrath. He's a smart player, and he's also a team-oriented player. He gives it off to Hudson there, having taken the mark. That's what they need. They've got Flaherty in the middle. He's not a real tall, but he's in against Bartlett, so he's got to have the heart pumping and find something special.
Coburg fighting for their, not absolute last life, but for a place in a prelim. Boyd being quiet. Kicks to half forward. Oh, Miller stood his ground under the scrapping tactics of Trent Churchill. Edney. Lead from Newman looks good. Got away from Jack. Couple of loose men.
They're going a lot better.
Pettifer. Di Pasquale. Kick was touched. Cracker couldn't get into it. He hasn't done a lot in the first half. Boyd overran it. Pettifer kicks long again. McGrath, oh, he's blocked out of the contest. Hyde flew well. Nice driving.
Good tackle, Cracker. Gee, that's what you want to see in a runner, in a small player, Roscoe. He's a flanker, but look at the tackle. That's great play. There was no prior opportunity, so the umpire's decision is spot on.
Well, from the Coburg games that we've seen this year, you could do a little highlights tape on the tackles of Andrew Cracker. He is one of the best tacklers in the comp.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, that, you know, often people have talked about as if the Indigenous players play more attacking and less of the defensive game. But I tell you what, when he rounds the blokes up, he really goes after him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he's clever at it, too. He's a very intelligent tackler.
24 points the margin. It was 34 during the second quarter. So Coburg had made a bit of a comeback. They've kicked the opening goal of the second half.
Well, you know, that's right, Drew. And I reckon in close, they're equal to Werribee, but the return from when it spills out is not as good. Werribee are doing it a bit easier. And there's Cracker. What if he comes alive and bangs a handful of goals through? Then we'll have a different game. They've got their back half a bit more settled. In fact, they're not as tall in the forward half now, Werribee, so maybe there's an opportunity for Alan Richardson.
Well done in the ruck. Wait a minute. Free is going to Coburg.
Gee, there was no arguing about that either. The players must have known exactly what was going on. Umpire Mason onto that.
So Simon Hart into a goal-scoring position. Hudson, Pettifer, back over his shoulder, offline. McGrath. Oh.
He's saying, was that a free kick? No. Game up a notch. Coburg just prodding, aren't they? Prodding. Seeing if they can find a path.
They want to do better at all these stoppages too. Flaherty at the back. Bartlett trying to use his strength against Corrett. Who laid the tackle. Corrett follows up and Bartlett will get the free, not tackling it out of presumably by Andrew Cracker.
Oh!
Trying to get dead by.
Now, that is Paul Hudson. He is retired from AFL football. Is he having a crack in the VFL for Coburg?
He's good effort. Yeah, look, fantastic, Drew. Good call, and he deserves it too. He nearly plucked that mark, you know. He's been great around the club, they tell me.
Yeah, and saying he wants to play on next year, perhaps with Coburg. It's good to see.
It is good, Ross. That's what you need for the game. The fabric of the game, it needs those blokes with a bit of experience. Like Philandia yesterday. Wasn't that a classic case? He was crook yesterday, but what a game he played at 32 years of age. He's been around, but he flew the flag, the Port Melbourne flag yesterday.
Yeah, with the flag. Flaherty did well, jumped high. Faulkner ducks the tackle, ducks the second one. Is he gone? Bert Cracker going in there. Bartlett squeezes it out. Hoyes finds Hyde. Oh, he's dropped it. Cross intercepts. Hyde tackles him. Good work for Burst. Bit of space opening up. Harris had to kick quickly. Finds a man brought in by Boyd coming into the match. Oh, good run down by Pasquale, is it? No. It's Newman. He's caught. Good tackle by... Oh, and he let him know, Churchill.
Oh, gee, I tell you what.
Was Miller.
There's a time if you'd done that out there in the 70s, Ross would have run right on the cranium. Churchill.
Meantime, Saunders has it. And they're still out of Churchill and Miller.
And they would have said, serves yourself right.
Sometimes a tackle on the wing is a tackle, but a tackle on the forward line isn't a tackle.
I wonder why. What are you getting at, Drew?
Through the hands of Flaherty.
Yeah, a couple went begging there in front of goal.
Dyer crashes through.
Yes, Hyde, Ross. If he'd got hold of that, that was a goal for the asking, wasn't it? And when you're just under the pump like this, you've got to make every post a winner.
Well, Coburg know that they've got to do it in the early part of this third quarter. Picking from near the boundary line to the goal square. Smith caught behind Vardy, and it comes to the front. Carlson concedes.
Almost a free to Vardy there, if not a mark.
Hart. Pinpoint. Brad Miller, who was the Western Jets' best and fairest last year.
Oh, look at the split here.
Hudson at half back. They need somebody on the forward line, but it's wide open here. And the mark to Flaherty. Hoyes in front, but a good punch away.
Well, see, Harris trying to find a target there. the next option was the goals, and who's down there? McGrath.
Yeah.
Put the ball up in the air. Roscoe, name them.
Yeah, well, Smith, Dimartino was in the rooms, Albie, Scott West offered me a beer as I went past. I said no. Nathan Brown and so on.
Well, this is their Mad Monday, isn't it, on a Sunday?
Yes.
Their season finished yesterday with a soul-stirring victory. It was a fantastic win, and the emotion there after the week they've had.
Patrick Bowden there with the sunglasses.
Well, better than going down to the local pub on the Monday, isn't it? As we used
they'll
to
do that as well.
Tackled by Dyer.
Oh, lucky. Gee, that's a lucky free kick. Funny with these holding the balls, you know. I'll have another look at this.
Was it high?
Oh,
Yeah,
I suppose it was. But, gee, they've been calling ducking the head, Ross, a lot. What do they mean when they tell you the bloke ducked his head?
Well, he didn't have to duck, he's so short. He was got, I think you're being too objective, Phil. It was a high tackle.
But when the bloke...
You're trying so hard to be unbiased. This is unbelievable.
But I reckon, you know, some of those tackles before that, they're not paying. Pay the blokes for the real good tackles.
So, Garth Taylor hasn't really done a lot. But this is an important goal for his side. If he gets it, and he squeezes it in. Yes, he's got it. They've got two back. Coburg. Hudson goes and gives him a bit of a G up.
Well, look, there's no question about it. It's just a matter of efficiency for Coburg. There's no doubt. There's the tackle. Well, look, I'm looking from the left, you see, and it's the right arm that was actually the free kick. So I suppose you've got to say
that's right. That's
the umpire was spot on.
That's often what umpires see, Phil, your view. When you
I was blindsided.
Now you know how it happens to them.
So, anyway, we've got a real game, I think.
Well, Coburg, the opening 2 goals of this third quarter, and the margin back to 19 points.
It's just a very interesting game because of the two contrasts. The Coburg smallness up forward, Werribee with more talls.
Flaherty doing okay in ruck.
Well, see, that's a bold move. He had to come up with something, and that's a very good... I said earlier to get Flaherty on. Gives you a little bit of height. As Ross said, he's not a real tall, but he's gone in there, the kid, and he's at least made a contest with Bartlett. Can he last?
From old Essendon grammarians, Roscoe.
Good stuff.
Edney gets the hand pass. Flaherty a further one. Pagan. Oh, good mark.
Gee, the percentages.
Well, he's a long way out from goal, Garth Taylor.
Oh!
In the direction of Poyas. Punch to the front. Poyas down the tackler.
Gee, the tackling's been good. I tell you what I like about the Port ground too is that there's a lot of contests. I don't just like the fact that we get all the beautiful people from around town here on a match day either. That does help.
That's including the Port ladies, Phil.
Well, indeed, Ross. Who do you think I meant?
I don't know. Up the top of the list. Shane Mason bounces. Bartlett and Flaherty go at it. McGrath hands it off. Oh, Hyde's got nowhere to go except into the bench.
Gee, I thought he had prior opportunity there, though, didn't he?
Well, he got a little high one. I think he might have. Chris Hyde in front of Vinny Torado. One of the runners. Oh, is there a big grab there? Knocked away from Poyas. At the full burst. Oh, took it too easy. He's gone.
He took him on.
Taylor. So this tackling is proving fruitful.
Well, Ross, he took him on then, didn't he?
He did.
He had the prior opportunity, and they pounced. I tell you what, you see, takes him on, look, and up she goes. Incorrect disposal of the football, and Mr. Hudson tells him, doesn't he?
Huddo gave the decision.
Just a bit too cocky there, Shane Burst.
Gee.
Going for their third of the term.
Well, it's hardly been in the Werribee forward half, has it?
No.
Go in on the side.
Garth, you needed to kick that, my friend. You desperately needed to kick that, and he knows. But beautiful tackling. Great to see players exerting pressure inside their 50, forward 50.
Garth Taylor had 15 games with the Fremantle Dockers in the AFL. He was a star at under-18 level. Got the medal for WA in the under-18 carnival. Brought in by Dyer to Robertson. Long kick to centre wing.
I was
Hyde. Kick by Hyde, back to the forward line for Coburg.
Oh, couldn't get to it.
Two inside 50s only for Werribee, 8 to Coburg this turn.
A 50-metre penalty here to Werribee.
Paul Hudson. Yeah, Paul Hudson then inside the zone before the call was given by the umpire.
That's your line. Mark's here if you want it. Right where you are.
So Cross with his 50-metre penalty. Barely got over the man on the mark. Punched out by Hart. Good to Robbins. Flaherty doing well. Hyde. Good hands here by Di Pasquale.
On his right side.
Newman. Good mark under pressure.
Played well, Chris Newman.
He sure has, Ross. He's impressed me, I'll tell you.
Hyde had to stretch. He's done well too. Back to Newman. Pettifer for the target. Boyd there. Couldn't muscle him out of it.
Body, Pettifer.
Poyas, the target. No. Change direction. McGrath at the back. Oh!
Edney.
Edney, yeah, loves the fly. Lamb clears half-back flank.
We haven't seen much of Edney, have we, in that forward zone? What if he does come good? Not a bad crowd in now. Crowd's been reasonable the last 2 days. A lot of people out on the grass, enjoying the weather.
Good number at Box Hill yesterday.
Harris, straight back towards the boundary line.
What'd they get there yesterday, Roscoe? Couple of thousand?
1,500.
Yep.
Edney's kicked bags of 4 and 5 this year. I'd like a few from him.
Yep, scoreless today, Craig Edney. But another chance here for Coburg. Boundary throw in on the 50. Bartlett palms it down to Faulkner.
Gee, their tackling's been good, Coburg. Ability to just pull up the opposition. Fantastic stuff.
Well, would that have been the word at halftime? When you're 5 goals down, you can turn things around by tackling and putting the pressure on the opposition when they've got it.
For sure, and going a bit straighter.
And better all these stoppages, which though you can see with the pressure. But Faulkner got away that time. Out to Hyde. He's under pressure from Boyd. Right in front of the crowd who are giving Pagan great vocal support.
I tell you what, I went out at half-time. Were they upset about the umpires? The Coburg supporters, they're going mad.
The Werribee doctor, he's the vocal supporter. The Daniel Cross doesn't seem perturbed by it all.
Sit down.
Bartlett and Flaherty go it again.
God, all you need's the doctor involved in the game.
Edney squirts it out. Correct. Tackled by Faulkner. Loves that stuff. Thrown. Throw. The crowd yells throw. Kicked inside 50. And Boyce takes it on his chest.
Ezra, he is one of the quietest blokes you will ever meet, this Liston Trophy winner, joint last year. He's just a beautiful person.
I think Edney got it forward to him.
Yeah, 1 metre. Don't go over it.
Joint winner. Brett Backwell.
Don't go over.
Werribee.
Ezra
played this turn, but Coburg have kicked 3. And they edge closer. They're down now with the deficit just 12 points.
Well, I suppose a mixture of things, Drew. You mentioned about the tackle. There's no doubt that they haven't lost the ball inside 50 when it's been loose, have they? And a lot of these close contests, they've been able to win the ball out. So they're getting... Was that a throw, Roscoe? I think it was. It was a Teddy Whitten flick pass. So they're winning those contests. They're getting a bit more direct, not expending as much energy, and that's a good sign for the last quarter. And the Werribee side now, Chris Bond's got to start thinking. He's just got to rejig, have a little thought or two, and that's important.
Margin back to 12 points. Bartlett. Pagan goes off the ground. And another ball up. In this quarter, Coburg have kicked 3-1 to a point. Werribee, who were dominating to half-time with 17 scoring shots to 7, have managed just 1 behind in this quarter. And that was a rush behind.
Oh, Flaherty is doing so well.
Cross gets the hand pass to Burst, who bursts out of the middle.
Trouble.
Long to the goal square. Saunders at the back.
Oh,
terrific. Talbot, who took 10 marks in the first half, Dean Talbot. And the ball's out of play in the back.
And you'd Matty Knights at half-time. He said he reckons he could probably play AFL, Talbot.
Carlson was under pressure, corralled by Robbins, and concedes.
Came right off the line.
Point.
Running good, mate.
Yeah, it is a behind.
Ken Gannon's a big rap for Talbot, isn't he, Roscoe? Reckons he's the best player in the VFL. He's not happy about that because he came across from South Australia. You're not allowed to say that in front of Ken. Although we do say it a few times, don't we, Ross?
Right, have we?
We're a bit...
He was twice best and fairest for South Adelaide.
Yeah.
Hart. Very high ball. Sean Smith and a couple of big players doing the roving. Bartlett to Jeremy Dyer. He's run off the line. Correct decision. Into the pocket. Jack. Shane Jack. He's already kicked two.
Just... Well, the kick out from full back put Vardy under pressure, and Vardy tried to mark the ball when he probably should have tried to punch it towards a negative spot, out of bounce maybe. It went for the mark, it stayed in play. Bartlett swooped on it, as you saw. And they're all the little things in a game that can...
Played 17 games, only 9 goals for the year. That's 3 more for 12. What a day to add to his goal-kicking tally. 3 goals to Shane Jack, just to relieve the pressure a bit for Werribee.
Well, if there's someone kicking with your life depending on it, Roscoe, he's your man, isn't he, at the moment? He just puts them through so easily. And there you saw it. There was a contest there. So Coburg, just the pressure just easing off a little bit. And off the side of the boot, really, but Jack just there. They're all caught out there, the Coburg backline players.
Steadier for Werribee. Oh, he is dominating Flaherty since he came into the ruck in the second half.
Oh, great
Meeting
play.
the ball, Dyer straight through them. Setchell. It's up high. Tall marking player wanted. Punch to the front. And Coburg good enough to get out of it. Scrambly old kick, but out of bounds was what they needed there.
Miller did well then.
It was good play, wasn't it, eh?
He really was under pressure.
See, Dyer shouldn't have been able to run out like that, though, Ross, out of their forward half.
Taylor gets a high one, no doubting that.
I tell you what, Flaherty has been unbelievable in the ruck.
Loose in the middle is Miller. Takes on Churchill, gets round him. Finds Newman on 60 metres. Calling for it. High as McGrath. Oh, pinpoint kick. The cracker is crunched.
Oh, now, umpire, you must... That is just not acceptable. Has he marked the football? That has got to be 50 metres, umpire. You cannot possibly allow that to happen.
Well, it might be, yeah.
That is... if that's not 50 metres, umpire, you have lost your marbles.
A stretcher coming out for Andrew Cracker.
He has poleaxed him, and there's no 50 metre. And I'm not talking as a Coburg person. I just don't like seeing that. And give us a call on it, Ross.
Not a legitimate contest between two blokes in opposite directions?
Not at all. He was marking the football, and what Churchill did was dip the shoulder, and it's reportable without a doubt. Without any shadow of doubt. And it should be 50 metres, unless he's paid a free kick. Is he claiming that he didn't mark the football?
Don't know yet, just walk and see.
Well, let's have a look at it. Has he marked it?
Most concern for Andrew Cracker here.
The Werribee boys have all been called over as a group while the stoppage of play is going on, and the on-field leaders, and now Coburg are in a group as well, so the on-field leaders are taking over here and just regrouping.
Now, those umpires are having a chat about that. Look, let's just talk technically on the rules.
Well, they haven't got a replay, Phil.
No, just say what we just got to talk. I'm a special commentator, Ross. The bloke has gone for a mark. I don't think there's any doubt he's marked the football. He's been shouldered after he marks the football. I'm not talking about whether it's reportable. The umpires can make a choice on that, but it's got to be 50 metres. He definitely went straight at him with no intention of doing anything but hip and shoulder. And after the ball has been marked, that if he doesn't pay 50 metres, the umpire, it is just wrong.
Yeah, maybe you could mount a case that he's trying to intercept.
Oh, yeah, well, you could, but you couldn't. Well, the vision shows that he's dipped the shoulder.
We should just make the point here that the neck brace has gone on, but that is a precaution. It's not necessarily, you know, alarm bells ringing for young Andrew Cracker just yet, but that's what they do with the players in this situation. Let's hope it is not that serious.
Well, every concussed player, they do this with a concussed player. Well, look, Trent Churchill would be disappointed about that, but
well, the umpire's saying he got him at the same time as he took the mark.
Well.
So in the umpire's opinion, it wasn't late.
Yeah. But how do you actually contest a mark? You actually contest with your hands, not with your hip, not with your shoulder. It's a free kick anyway.
Ryan?
It's just not. We know the rules. The rules have been changed to deal with those kind of situations. It's not an unprotected player going for a player going for the mark must be protected. Now, Paul Hudson's telling him he knows what it should be.
So Ryan
and Kevin Mitchell will know too that it should be 50 metres.
So Pagan's got to take the kick, but it is outside 50.
Yep.
Just still have to wait for the stretcher to leave the playing arena. Great courage by Cracker.
Well, it sure
out
was.
Of the corner of his eye, he would have known what was coming.
He had no hope. And he'd certainly marked the football. In any case, you can't contest a mark with a player by using your hip and shoulder as he marks the football. That's just not in the rules.
Pagan goes for the pass. Poyas on the lead. It's Talbot on the forward line. He's left-footed to the goal square. Here's Poyas in the goal square.
Oh.
Kick out of the air, and the goal to Pennifer.
I tell you what, I reckon they'll run hot Coburg now after what's happened. I reckon they'll fire up. I'm sure they'll fire up because Cracker's a real favourite, and you just see it straight away what they're doing. They're sending the wet message around. It was a beautiful piece of play by Pettifer. A bit like yesterday. He's not far off it. God, that is great.
Bartlett claims he got a hand on it, but he didn't. So 4-1 to the Coburg side. Setchell.
Oh, it's on.
Is dispossessed. Hyde to Hart. Wide towards Poyas with Harris. He gave it a little push. Great pace from Taylor. Centering it. McGrath overran it. Out by the cool Robertson to Dyer. Kicks long, but it's all Coburg sitting back here. Hart had the sun in his eyes. Hyde was quick, playing a great game. Poyas puts it to boot quickly. Pettifer is blocked out of it. McGrath flew. Jack was at the fall. Harris goes long with a big torpedo. Saunders now and Talbot. Great battle between the two.
What a player.
Through the legs of Saunders. Got it out. Hard work there by Rao. There's a high one. But Talbot finds a man, Newman.
And Newman with a bit of time at right half-back. Up to Pettifer, who drops one on centre wing. He kicked that last goal with a volley in the goal square. Nobody here for Coburg. McGrath caught behind, but forced the spoil.
Oh, I thought that was a mark too.
Hudson. Flaherty the tackler. Churchill clears out of defence. Long kick. Coburg will have to do it all again. Punch to the front. Newman. Good pass. Hart just underneath it. Setchell just slips away. Knezovic, the kick up towards full forward. Skipper is there. Knezovic once more. Offline and out of bounds on the full. Andrew Knezovic from the Western Jets, a teenager, playing just his 6th senior VFL game this year. So here come Coburg again. Butler.
Oh, gee, they've had all of the play.
Knocked away. Faulkner looking for the free, not going to get it from umpire.
I'll tell you what, it's interesting, though, since that incident with Churchill, Coburg have had a couple of lucky breaks with the umpires. No doubt there was a mark in the back half. That could have been paid holding the ball spin. Another one, just a little swing in the mood of the game towards Coburg.
Butler there rucking with Bartlett. Werribee get it forward. Knezovic around Carlson. Still in play. Danger for the Lions, but the reliable Talbot there takes it over. Nearly three-quarter time, 13 points.
Let me interpret what you just said, a swing in the game towards Coburg. In other words, they were getting slaughtered before, and now they're getting an armchair ride.
No, in fact, no, it's just interesting, I reckon, that games are sort of funny things. Psychologically, little things sort of happen, you know?
Still a bit of time to go. There's a man in question, Churchill.
Now that's
irony or something, I don't know what it is.
That's what
kicked a goal.
They didn't want that, Ross, because after he's floored Cracker, the last thing you want is for him to get a kick. In fact,
you want something else.
Yeah, you'd want to be going after him. In fact, that's what blokes usually, that's what it gets a bit like. It's a bit tribal when someone bowls someone over like that, and you don't want him to bob up and kick a goal. So the Coburg boys just got to work at it. It's an interesting game. It is a very, very interesting game.
Well, the margin got back to 13 points. At one stage it had been 34. 30-minute mark. It'll be a long quarter after the injury to Andrew Cracker. Time for a goal or two. Just forward of the centre circle, Coburg's way. Bartlett. Back in the ruck is Nick Butler. And another ball up.
Now, Ross, you've never been afraid to say someone should have been reported. Would you say Churchill would be...
I don't want to go on about it.
No, but would you look at it?
Yeah, I'd certainly be videoing it, but I think you could make a case that he's attempting to intercept. And so he's charging from the opposite direction, that's all.
Butler wins in ruck. Taylor on all fours. Hudson. This is looking promising. Pagan puts it out wide. Hyde. Kick by Hyde is offline. I'm not sure why Pagan went outside the corridor. Anyway, behind.
Perhaps we'll get 34, 35 minutes in this term on the clock with the delay. Robertson. Worrying hard his cross. Saunders and Talbot doing battle back there. Burst had 4 to get around. Saunders a bit slow, looked a bit tired there. Newman puts his body on the line.
Actually, Saunders has kicked 2 goals. Paul, has he only had 2 kicks?
Maybe one more.
3. 3 kicks, 2 handballs for Saunders. His opponent's taken about a dozen marks.
Bartlett resumes the battle. His opponent, Butler, has had a bit of a spell. Burst, worried out of it by Corrett. Taylor scraps a kick forward. Pagan's been quiet now. Chance to centre it well. McGrath in front, has it fisted away. Harris there. Oh, he's got the fumbles. Now he's got it. Steadies. Kicks wide with the running sectional, but kicks under pressure. Edney trying to keep it in, but couldn't.
Got a leap on him, hasn't he? Straight up. Oh. Craig Edney. 3 straight kicks the difference. 32.5 minutes gone, 3rd quarter. Will be paid overtime. Overtime on a Sunday is worth a quid, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it used to be in the old days. I don't know what Tony Abbott's got it at these days.
Bartlett might have given it up here. Oh, Taylor tried to keep it alive. And it'll be a boundary throw-in. Bit closer to goal for Coburg. About 30 metres around from the behind post. Another goal here on the siren would have all the momentum with Coburg going into the last quarter. They trailed by 30 points at half-time.
tackle by Pettifer. No decision by the umpire. Hand pass comes out to Robbins. He clears from centre half back. Saunders being held. Almost takes a one-hander. Newman's been excellent for Coburg. Di Pasquale and further across the ground, and plenty of players to attack through here. Edney. The kick to half forward. Taylor. Too far out to score. He's got Hudson. And he's got Newman. Newman! Oh, a punch right on the siren for three-quarter time. But we have a game of football here at Port Melbourne. 18 points is the lead for Werribee after they led by 30 at half-time. And Coburg in that quarter kicked 4 goals and Werribee kicked 2.
Oh, it's a great game, no doubt about it. It's not like yesterday's game where there were big, tall players taking marks inside 50. The Coburg side really bounced back in the third quarter. There's no doubt that the way Alan Richardson, obviously at half-time, got them to go more direct. They exerted massive pressure inside their 50. Their tackling's been fantastic. And got a 50, if there'd been a 50-metre paid on that one with Cracker, that would have been another goal. But the way it's gone, I would say they're right in the game, Coburg, now. Chris Bond, I think, would know that. It's been a very, very interesting sort of contest, this one. You'd reckon the Tigers would be too good, but they've worn away at them, Coburg, and at ground level, they've been very, very good. Now it's looking like they'd have to mount a big challenge, the Coburg side, to get up and win this game. But they've certainly gone part of the way in the third quarter. Very interesting quarter there with that Churchill on Cracker incident, which I've probably said enough about, but I think it'll be an intriguing final quarter.
And the leading goal kickers, Jack has kicked 3, Saunders 2 from limited opportunities. And for Coburg, Pettifer, Hudson and McGrath have all kicked 2 goals. Well, the 2 finals yesterday were decided by 2 points and 7 points, and this one today could be as close. We've got about half an hour to go. Back in the studio, Beverly.
Thanks, Drew. And quite a close encounter too in the tussle between the Kangaroos and West Coast. West Coast having booted 7 goals to 2 in that last quarter. They were 13 points down. They are now 17 points up, so it's anyone's game, even though there is that 17-point difference at the moment. The Kangaroos, David King has 4, Jones, Harding and Petrie have 2 each. For the West Coast, Philip Matera with 4, Kerr with 3, and Wilson also has 3. He was the one to put on that last goal for the West Coast. The Carlton-Essendon match, not much of a match-up. Essendon 8-11-59. Matthew Lloyd having a good day out with 5 already. 2-6-18 to Carlton. Trent Hotton and Corey McKernan the only goal kickers for the Blues. To get a progress score from the other VFL elimination final, we've got Martin Stillman, the General Manager of the VFL Online. Martin, how are things?
Not too bad, Bev. We've got a terrific game here at Point Gellibrand. It's 25 minutes into the second quarter. Murray Kangaroos are 9-6-60 and Williamstown are 8-5-53. The Williamstown supporters are quite irate with a few umpiring decisions, but terrific game of football. Crowd's really built up, and I think we're going to be in for a real close game.
Well, we were talking about yesterday when we thought Sandy was down and out, coming home to win by 2 points. The final series has really turned out to be very close.
No doubt, all the games have been extremely close, and I suppose yesterday, Bev, when I gave my cross at three-quarter time, you know, Sandy were down by 15 points. They'd only kicked 4 goals for the day, but it just shows you in a low-scoring game that get a couple of quick goals, anything can happen in finals football. But here today, it's really a battle of the forward lines, and Roger Gens has been in outstanding form for the Murray Kangaroos. He kicked 3 goals in the first quarter. He's kicked 4 for the game, and Scott Cummings has kicked 3 goals, 1. And he's been in terrific form, and I'm just sitting next to Mick Malthouse, and he's eagerly watching Cummings' performance, maybe for a recall of Collingwood next week.
Yes, I think he's got a few options to consider. Martin, we'll talk to you by the end of today's coverage. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Beth.
Martin Stillman out there at the other elimination final. Let's get to the other 2 races on the card from Werribee. Race number 4, and it was Sagacious Mover, race number 4, paying $6.80 for the win from Shannon Royal and All Black Symphony, 1,431.70 the trifecta. And Fast Turn was the winner in race number 5, paying $4.40 from Waikupu Bay and Dashiki, 191.60 the trifecta. Time to go back in and have a listen into the Werribee huddle.
careful with that, mate. Doing a great job for us.
Brian.
Des, Kingsbury, exactly the same. To win this game, you must counter-attack footy.
Yeah,
We've said it for a while, boys.
Go
We've
on.
said it for years.
Go on.
You cannot just all of a sudden go back, kick the ball down the line and everything like that. We play our natural game of footy, and our natural game of footy is to play on your man and get forward and run and then get back on them. Barts, get back in this in regards to our contest here, mate. Working for us well, and just play the natural one. If you think there's a situation where you need to drop in the hole, drop in the hole.
Yep.
Let's see what their ruckman's doing as well, okay? Forward line structure is very important to us. Rowie, we need you up and going there. Rob Owen said you're going to be high, but don't let them just zone off you. You've got to be accountable as well, boys. Bring it in. Come on. Come on. All right, we said before the game, accountability was the key. All right, and it is the key. Let's have a look here. They tackled hard, boys, but I reckon they got in a little bit harder for the ball than us. Lammy, you've got to set the scene in this area. Make sure you set it. Clarkie needs you to stick with Eddie all the way through. Our blocks, let's get these blocks up. Kicks to handball, we need more kicks than handballs this quarter. It's got to get to a 2-to-1 situation. Inside 50s, I've got no doubt if these gets up, Skip and Moody will give us a contest. We also spoke about the forward line pressure. They cannot run the ball out as easy as what they have been. That's nails some tackles. That's nails some tackles in this forward line, boys. And we said the discipline. We said the discipline to stick on our men, to make sure we knew what structures were in place and what rotations were in place. It's all about poise now, boys. It's all about just making sure we stick to what we've spoken about in November. Counter-attack football. Be disciplined with what you're doing and make sure under no circumstance do we panic. Under control, you run the ball out and you hit our forward targets. They will present for you. Smitty, Nudie, Skip will present all the time for you. That's hit the targets inside 50.
Hill, interesting there, Chris Bond pointing out that Coburg have probably tackled a bit harder. It looks like, is it Trent Churchill having a breather there? It's interesting. But it's been the pressure of Coburg inside 50 is really what's kept them in the game and going a bit straighter. It was a frenetic third quarter, and it seemed at half-time that Coburg had to do some big things if they're going to stay in the game, because as I've said so many times, the lack of height in the forward zone has been a problem. Isaiah Hudson there giving someone a tap on the head, just rubbing it in. But they seem to get out of those tight situations very well, the Coburg side. I thought that was definitely a throw, no question about that. Should have been pinged by Ryan Pagan. And Ezra Poyas went back and kicked a goal. So as Coburg supporters, I reckon they weren't getting a good deal off the umpires. I'd have to notice that that one was probably a lucky one. But here, after a kick back into play, Vardy tried to mark, bounce back, and Dyer slips it on the left boot and it falls outside. And that man, Jacks, has been terrific with 3 goals. In front of goal, he's been great. Big last quarter, this. You could imagine the Tigers, Werribee Tigers, just purring their way to an easy... Now, we saw that, I've commented on that, but Cracker had the football. You can't hit a bloke like that when he's going for the mark. You just cannot hit a bloke like that when he's going for the mark. Simple as that. Rules are designed to protect players. You've got 200 possessions. Coburg possessions obviously up now because they're pretty even. And inside 50, she's pretty tight. Hit-outs are tight. It's pretty tight everywhere. Roscoe, what's the news down there in the Coburg huddle? Were they fired up, mate?
Yes, Alan Richardson asking for someone else, another quarter from Martin McGrath like that second quarter, and someone else to stand up there in the forward line, but to keep it tight, man on man, important in the stoppages. And the players, I don't think, know this, nor does Alan Ritchie, might know now, but Andrew Cracker is okay, he's up sitting, but a suspected broken jaw is the fear at the moment.
Yes, so there you go, Ross. There you go.
So the final term about to get underway. And Chris Bond was under a bit of pressure there because the entire Western Bulldogs senior team was surrounding him in the huddle, listening to his address. And the margin is just 18 points in favour of Werribee. They finished second on the ladder and Coburg finished third. Coburg get the first possession. Garth Taylor bursts out and Bartlett gets him from behind. No decision, holding the ball or in the back. Now it'll be a baller.
Well, why is there no decision on that? He's had prior opportunity. If it's not in the back, Drew, what is it? It's holding the ball, isn't it? I mean, what is the decision there, Kevin Mitchell, umpire's advisor? Just tell me.
Ball up and Flaherty back in the ruck. Pagan, number 21, applying the tackle, but Robertson clears for Werribee. His hand pass is good to Jack. Back to concede some ground. Robbins. And his kick to Smith, who had a rest in the third quarter. Back on fresh now. He's worked off the ball. Hart into Flaherty. This is good play by Coburg. And Carlson gets it to Pagan. And right in front, the mark is taken. Bradley Rayson, he's hardly been on the ground today, if at all. He might just have come on, I'm not sure. I don't think I've called him all day. The teenager from Leongatha, and he's got a chance right in front from about 30 metres out to get Coburg within 2 kicks.
Well, it's been it's a big effort by them since half-time under all sorts of pressure. This is a big, big, big kick.
It is his second kick.
They don't come much bigger than that.
He's kicked it authoritatively for a goal.
Unless I'm a bad judge, the Coburg side is well and truly in the game. And I reckon you sensed at 3/4 time with Chris Bond. He sensed it. He picked it up almost unwittingly, the point about the number of tackles. He knew it was impossible for Chris Bond to hide the fact that the Coburg tackling has been greater than the Werribee tackling, and now they're winning at ground level, setting the play up. Some blokes have got to stand up for the Werribee side because this Coburg side seems to be rolling on, getting closer. 2 goals in it. Werribee with more scoring shots.
In the second quarter, Coburg with 34 points down. And that's a good tackle by Hyde and forces another ball up. Some of the possession winners, well, for Werribee, we've sung the praises of Burst, 23 possessions, but he had about 12 in the first quarter, so he hasn't been as dominant since then. Robbins, 13. Here goes Taylor, out of the middle. Outside of his boot is Clever. Brought to the ground by Poyas. He's still after it, outside the 50. Newman runs onto it, and another short pass is good. And Taylor told to play on. He does. Goes for goal. And kicked it.
They are on a roll. They are fired up, the Coburg boys, there's no doubt about it. And once the word goes round the huddle that your mate might have a serious injury from that collision, then it has an effect. Always when you're coaching, you don't like to see it because you know the other side's going to use it and they might just fire up. It always worries you, that sort of stuff. And you can see the Coburg boys, it's a steely determination too. They didn't get excited too much at the time, but you can sense now they think they're in with a show.
Well, Newman, hasn't he played a game? Well, when Cracker went down injured, the margin was 19 points, and now it is 1 kick. 6 points the margin, and Werribee hanging on. Hart at half-back. Hand pass is okay, and that one's good as well to Di Pasquale. His left footer down the line. Taylor has been superb at the start of this last term. He's crunched here, but he'll be right. Throw in centre wing.
Nothing in that.
Vardy getting some treatment for a hip at 3/4 time. Di Pasquale kick for hamstrings.
No doubt about that one. Flaherty on Bartlett. Where'd you get the mail on Cracker, Roscoe?
No, I've got those sources.
But it's good mail, is it?
Yep. Bartlett. Saunders is the target. Over the back break. Brad Carlson being painted. He just wrecks down the hands of Saunders.
Brave.
Having to take risks.
Why handball sideways to a left footer?
Hard finds
on his wrong side.
Pagan. Bit of a slip by Miller. Recovers in time. Looks for Newman over his head. Pettifer. Away from Hunter. Robertson. Can't break the tackle of Hudson. Not rewarded.
And he knows it should have been a free kick. Umpires, you've got to work those out. You've got to work those out.
And now deliberately out of bounds, so it is a free kick.
Gee whiz. Get the first one right.
Newman to Pagan. 80 metres from goal. Up towards McGrath. He's edged his man out. He's taken the mark. Martin McGrath.
What a final series.
Oh, fantastic. Just fantastic. Was that a nudge in the back, Ross? Don't know, probably side on.
Yeah,
bit of a whiff of the back, but probably if you start playing those, nothing much will be going on in a game of footy.
That doesn't look good.
No, Robertson doesn't look too good there. Left shoulder.
Gee, the pressure is phenomenal, isn't it?
Obviously, right shoulder's already been a problem. It's taped.
McGrath on number 3. A straight kick will level the scores.
And he does. And they are flying.
6 minutes in, final term.
And I tell you what, if they get up, Ross, they'll be pointing back to that incident as the one that turned things around for them. That's just how footy goes, just like that. You don't want to give anyone an even break. I remember the old Colin Kinnear, our coach, who always said that. Don't give anyone a chance to get excited about you.
Since half-time, 7 goals to 2.
Flaherty in ruck.
Oh, how's he going? How is he going?
Now applies the tackle, but a nest of Werribee players. Robbins out in front of goal. Good kick. Skipper the mark.
Yeah, well, there's the dangers. That tall timber. Don't worry, there's plenty left in this game. This Werribee side's got 2 talls down there, Skipper and Saunders. Saunders turns around, lets them know.
Well, Werribee scoreless in this last quarter, and we've been playing nearly 7 minutes. Can Skipper convert from virtually right in front? Distance is only about 40 metres, 35. That's a goal.
He's a good player, the big bloke. And if you give him half a yard, as Vardy did then, he'll take the mark. Look at his arms. They go up like the old periscope. Straight and long. Just see it here. Kick nice. Up high now. You see out the man there, Vardy. He's caught behind 2 players. Saunders has got himself positioned nicely. You're never going to take that off, Skipper.
Up like a couple of tentacles.
Yes.
Jack Ty tried to say once.
Important centre clearance.
Bounce, Nico.
Saw Bartlett was from the side. Newman laying the tackle. In the middle, Taylor.
You know what sorry, Ross, I find interesting in the rules now is when, not on that occasion, but blokes when they take the ball and they try to run a player down who's about to tackle, it's one element of the game they've got to just, you know, I think the rules people have got to look at a bit more carefully.
With a run, Bartlett did it nicely, but Pagan in the way. To Newman, to Pettifer, that's putting him under pressure. Hunter recovered quickly, handball not so good. Good work by Hart, good combination, Newman, and Faulkner takes it over.
There's not too much to that Chris Newman, I reckon, but he's nearly been best on ground.
Yeah.
To three-quarter time, he'd had 16 kicks, and probably up to about 20 now. Going great guns. He was dropped this week from the seniors, so he's probably come back to prove a point, and he finishes off well in the final series here. He'll have a big year next year. Centering ball by Flaherty. Here's a kid who kicked the goal earlier on. Hudson!
He doesn't miss those. With the pedigree that he brings to a football field, Paul Hudson, he's not going to let that one go missing. As soon as that spun out there, McGrath was caught up in it. Hudson on the left boot. Poyas was good in the midfield too. What a game. Yes, Drew, we've had some great footy, haven't we? Had some fantastic footy. I think that was Rayson who slipped it out, wasn't it? Beautiful play. And Hutto on the left boot. Isn't he beautifully balanced, Hudson? Oh, yeah. When he gets it in his hands, he just says, hey, leave it to me, boys. I'll just show you how to stick it right over the goalie's head.
Still, if you're Peter Hudson's son, you couldn't kick a footy. There'd be something wrong.
Could be off for a bit of DNA testing, you reckon, eh?
Here comes Setchell. Meeting it strongly was Carlson. Rebounds it quickly. Perhaps a bit too quick. Clark got confused with Robbins. Left it for the senior player. Sitting underneath it, Faulkner. Good contest, Miller, but unable to stop the mark. Low kick in. Skipper having to spoil. Almost in the back.
He tests you, doesn't he, Skipper? Comes from nowhere.
So it was 12 points to Coburg. They're only meeting this year out at Werribee, Chermside Park. Good win there, so they can do it, Coburg. They're right with them. Hyde goes up. Ooh. Across the face of goal. Talbot.
Well, Werribee have won 11 in a row, and their last loss was the last time they played Coburg. And so we might look back and think, well, maybe Coburg have got their measure. Werribee's beaten everybody else in between. Setchell. Turned it up. High ball by Hart. And that's towards the boundary line and out of bounds. Safe. That's Newman again.
Do you see how he kicked that ball in? They're so clever players now, and he spun it under the bloke's hands deliberately. 20 possessions. He's been a very good player.
Scores level midway through the last
this kid
quarter.
gone in the ruck?
Pagan. Yeah, Flaherty's killing them. To half forward, Hudson being held by Smith. Paul Hudson with the free kick. Skipper Pagan goes past for it. Oh, McGrath, but gee, well done by Dyer. Same direction as the ball. Shot for goal across. Edney. Edney a goal. Come over in front.
Dear me.
I thought he was going to miss it.
So did I, Ross. It was a funny way he went about it. Brilliant play there. Hudson handing the ball off quickly. Isn't it beautiful with Hudson's team play? He didn't say, I'll go back and kick the goal or try to bang a long kick. Just gave it off.
Yeah, and Rayson had a hand in it as well.
Bit stiff there, Dyer, not...
Rayson did really well there.
And look at the speed too, Edney, and I mean, he's a match winner, this bloke too.
Yeah, Rayson's with a miss kick, but at least he got it. Back after the bounce.
That has been the key to their game. And this kid in the ruck, Flaherty, fair income, correct me if I'm wrong, he has been a sensation.
He's worked really hard.
Well, it's a good matchup too. And look, I'll tell you what, Trent Bartlett looks a little bit tested.
Yeah, he's feeling a bit of a sore knee. He looks tired. He was rested last week at half-time. Setchell out to Rao. Up towards Saunders and Talbot. Loose ball for Faulkner. Rao. Dyer it is. Hart had to stretch. In goes Lamb. Couldn't get it. Good defence. Hart. Deep Pasquale. Just heads for the boundary line.
Where was he going?
No one to kick out here, I guess. Out of bounds deliberately? Yes.
Of course it was, but who cares anymore?
If he paid it, you'd care.
Oh, well, only because it'd contradict everything they do, but impossible to pick it on that occasion.
Over the top burst. Lamb looking for a free, wouldn't get one. Bartlett, tackled by Carlson.
Gee, good tackle, Carlson. They're risky there because he could easily have laid it over the shoulder of Bartlett, but he was smart. Disciplined stuff. Great game of footy this. Different from yesterday's game, but it is an absolute beauty to watch.
Bartlett, clean possession. Tried to beat the park. Did pretty well. Churchill, kick dropped short and seen through by Talbot for a rush behind.
I'll tell you what, Flaherty's been really smart. When he can't get to the contest because he's not tall enough, he lets Bartlett grab it and then he tackles him. So he's been very, very clever playing the percentages. This bloke's been good too. Shame his old man can't be here to watch it because I think you're very proud of him, Denis Pagan, because he has played very, very well.
He's up in Canberra today, Dennis. Newman's got the cramp. Oh, what a mark! Fantastic by Carlson. His second high flyer. Kick by Carlson to centre wing. Well, everyone left it for each other. Mark taken by Cross. Not sure what to do. Hyde could have gone in and nailed him. Stayed back. Harris. This bloke can take a mark. Lee Carlson. Hart across the ground. Skipper lurking dangerously. Put his opponent to the deck. Fighting each other for the football and have lost it. It comes out to Churchill within goal-scoring distance, and he's kicked it. His second.
He's going straight off.
And Werribee back in front by a point.
Great play by Churchill. One of his classic goals. I mean, he hasn't had a lot of football, so he's going to be a bit underdone. The Coburg boys there, they made a mess of it, really. Two of them trying to grab it, and once it spun out, great play there also by Lamb to get the quick handball. Players are so good with their hands, and Churchill on the turn, doing what he does best, pinging a big goal.
So, 2 goals to Werribee, 5 to Coburg this quarter. Scores level 3 times. Hart, I should say Hunter, over Pettifer. A point in favour of Werribee. Dyer. Saunders calling for it long. Talbot accidentally blocked, may give Saunders a chance. Talbot makes the contest. Saunders almost got it. Good pick up. Miller throws it to boot. All Werribee out here. Lamb will be first there. McGrath coming like a train. Gets around Dog. Good play, but he had Cross to contend with two. Satchel. Again, Saunders just wanting it bombed long. No leading forward for Werribee. Satchel goes as long as he can, very high. Picken can't get in the contest. Who can at the front?
Phil's mate.
Phil's mate, Flaherty.
It's just been good, you know. It's a big effort to wreck.
Hudson back on the half-back line. To half forward with the kick. Disappointing effort. Chopped off easily by Dyer. Straight back to Miller in the van. Saunders comes to mark but can't. Pettifer, good tackle.
Good decision, umpire. Good decision. No chance. Dead right. Wouldn't be paying that one with a bloke. Absolutely no opportunity to get rid of it then.
Marcus Pickens out.
You just see, look, he's just, yes. Good decision by the umpire.
He's been on the bench a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe perhaps he started quietly.
So Werribee by a point in an absolute nail-biter. 17 minutes in the last quarter. Hyde. Beautiful kick.
Beautiful kick. Look at the runners.
This kid's going all right. Bradley racing. 19-year-old. Long to the goal square. McGrath. It comes to the front. Bartlett gives chase. Lumbers after it. Actually played it pretty well. Wide to the boundary line. And gathered by Clark. He gains a lot of metres down that boundary line.
Great
Out it goes.
Gee, this is a good game.
Well, Faulkner coming off. He's limping. The captain goes off for Werribee. Coburg supporters, bit of a smile, trailing by a point.
Oh. Fantastic game of football, this. Absolutely fantastic.
Second, Setchell gets the lucky free.
There's a free kick before that in the ruck contest.
Setchell working hard. Saunders and Talbot pushing and shoving, allowing the other two to go for it. And the free to Pickett, it looks like. In the back. So Pickett, well, they've kicked a few goals from out in this pocket with a little breeze behind them. And finding their mark. He wouldn't have kicked a lot of goals.
Oh, what was that? That's why.
8 for the year only. Played every game.
2-point lead now to Werribee. If the siren went right now, the 3 finals this weekend will be decided by a combined total of 11 points. Poyer, centre wing, hand pass back to Newman. He's been sensational, Chris Newman.
Good kick.
Fantastic
Well, look at
kick.
Hudson. Look at Hudson.
This is Corrett and Hudson. Oh, great spoil by Smith.
Oh, he'd be disappointed, Hudson, with that, because that was not a good kick. He should have gone, but that's good. You see that? He didn't complain. Just put the hand up to him. Kick should have had more depth in it, Drew. Should have been let him run into it.
2 points the margin, but Coburg on the forward line. Hand pass out to Pettifer. He goes to the goal square. Hudson's there, gets a bad bounce. Sean Smith clears out of defence. Harris goes the spoil, and the ball out of play. On the 50, Coburg in attack. 19 and a half minutes gone. Werribee by 2 points. They had led by nearly 6 goals earlier.
Harris takes some big breaths. Morris somehow got it to Boyd.
Did you see that?
Stole it. Pettifer running it on goal from the angle. Has missed it, but
the player took that with his boot, I reckon, in the contest.
He did?
A soccer take, and Pettifer straightened up, and he knows he could have really been a hero. Watch this, yeah.
McGrath,
there's a foot somewhere. Watch. It was Pagan. Gee. Amazing. Kicking in danger, you think.
And the kick in. Hunter. Now Werribee. Setchell. Good charge at it, but couldn't complete the mark. Taken by Corrett to half forward. Disappointing kick. Mark taken by Tim Clark. Playing just his third senior game in the VFL.
About 4 of those kicks, touch kicks that haven't found their mark, Coburg.
Clark to cross. Approaching the 21-minute mark. 1 point the margin. Kick by Cross. Hart does well. Hyde. Boundary line might do him. Doesn't get it. Oh, Lamb. Lamb is slammed.
Oh, and then he's paid the free kick. Yeah, he's held on to him too long, but gee whiz, it was a great tackle.
So Jason Lamb concedes a little bit of ground, and the kick only barely carried. Did it go 15? Stop, start. Cross. Burse. Saunders with one hand, not enough at this stage. Pagan, rare to see him up there. And another one that gets no result whatsoever. Out of bounds. 85 to 84. It's 12-13 to 13-6.
Coming up to 22 minutes. In comes Bartlett. Again with Flaherty in the back.
Against him that time.
Flaherty will want to get it moving. Wasn't quite behind his mark, says the umpire.
He's been the find for Coburg, this kid today.
Carlson's got some space. Over the top, Newman. Oh, you can see that being telegraphed. They've still got to get out of trouble. Or are they? Newman spots the kick. Forrest lost it in the sun. Good presence of mind to Pagan. Throws it back to Porras. Runs to 50 and was under too much pressure.
Yeah, they were trying to just do a double take there, Ross. Pagan knew he couldn't get the distance.
Marcus Pagan off the ground. Setchell. Werribee leading by a point. Setchell's kick. Robertson back in business.
Oh, nerve-wracking stuff for the coaches.
Saunders can't take the mark. At the back, Talbot. Hudson. Ooh, Taylor a fumble. Here's Flaherty. Slips the hand pass to Hudson. And he's kicked very wide for Rayson. That wasn't one of Hutto's best.
What's he doing there? Too cute. Oh, she's a tense old game. 1 point in it.
5 goals to 2 in this last quarter. Werribee led by 18 points at three-quarter time, and they now lead by 1.
Free kick, Flaherty. Gee, you just can't afford to be doing that.
Bartlett. Setchell, good mark. In between half-back and wing. This to half-forward. Miller. Going for out of bounds on a stop play, which he gets at centre wing. Start again. Well, it's tight, even though there's been 7 goals in this last quarter. I somehow get the feeling that there might be one more goal, and whoever gets it will win the game.
And who will it be? Edney, the Rover, trying to break the battle between Bartlett and Flaherty.
Gee, they're a bit tired to the sides.
Oh, yeah.
Understandably been a very, very physical game. A lot of fierce tackling, Ross.
Yes, as yesterday. I reckon Werribee are just a little bit more tired than Coburg. They've just got that 1 point advantage at the minute, ticking up to 25 minutes. Cross scrambles it forward. Rao going in strongly. 3 Coburg players there in Weston and Hart. Dragging it under. Want to get it out. The Werribee players holding it in, said the umpire. There's a sign of fatigue. Cross gets up with Hart. Umpire Stephen Grunt.
The winner will get a week off, and they might need it.
Pagan and Boyd getting reprimanded. Let the ruckman have a go, and Bartlett wins it. Hart steals it. Kicks towards Hudson and Smith, 2 veterans.
Oh, Hutto.
Good hands. Out to Rayson. Oh, will that hit Weston? Danger. Setchell grabs it, kicks to the line. I don't know if he intended to kick it that far. It's going to go out of bounds.
Oh, Hudson didn't want it back.
Rayson had a bit of clean ground in front of him.
Yes, he had to just drive it. It was good play by Hudson. And I'll tell you what, he was on Smith, and Smith was looking about as tired. It's been a great performance by both these sides.
Smith and Hudson, both 32-year-old veterans. What a contest it has been. Hart, son of Royce, gives it up, goes back in and gets it again. Well done, son. Play on. The umpire gave him plenty of time to get it out. Werribee had the football, and a chance for a Werribee goal.
I think that'll seal it.
Matthew Boyd might have kicked the winner.
Well, it just shows you, doesn't it? You don't wait for the umpires. Sometimes they let it go, sometimes they don't. And on that occasion, the umpires just said, away you go. And it just spilled out. Look, they all thought it was over. Thought it was over, and then out she comes. Good running, good goal. And you reckon that should just about finish it off. Coburg just had a couple of opportunities, but haven't been able to nail it. It's been a fantastic game of football. We've been blessed this weekend.
Coburg Tigers need 2 goals. Boyd's in there again. So's Taylor and Pagan.
27 minutes. You'd be struggling, Ross.
How long the quarters have been? They've been 29 and a half, 30 and 33. Well, that was with the injury to Cracker. So probably about 30 minutes. The chase is on. Rayson's got fresh legs. Rao did well. Gets around Miller. He put the pressure on with a good dive. Attempt to smother. Still in play. Won't sit for Poyce. Talbot, I should say. Setchell with good body strength. I'll have it, he says. Kicks to the corridor. Is there a mark? Skipper didn't get up. All Coburg. Now they can mount something. Carlson to Di Pasquale. Pettifer calling it for it in the middle. Will it set? It does. For Carlson, he's under pressure. Good running and chasing from Matthew Robbins.
Great stuff. Both sides.
And appreciated by the good crowd here at Port Melbourne. How long to go? 28 minutes has ticked past. A 7-point lead to Werribee, who had the game shot to pieces in the second quarter. Oh, fantastic! Ripped out of the air by Edney. Long kick. They need a mark. Hudson, spoiled by Smith, comes to Pettifer. And not a bad kick to the goal square. Ooh. Does it get through?
Oh, it goes! It's come off his leg, off McGrath. It's come off his foot.
Deliberate or accidental?
Well, I think he just ran into it, Ross, trying to get a collision, trying to get above it. It's hit the bottom of his leg. Can you believe that? One last roll of the old dice.
Point the difference, Phil. Certainly, Royce, he could be in for extra time.
Have a watch this, Ross. Just look at him run at it, McGrath. Look, gets in. He's just collided and bang us off the ankle.
Just ran hard on the footy.
And tell me the goal umpire could see that, Ross.
Oh, they're very good, Phil. He wasn't blindsided. A point the difference. The winner into the prelim final. Bartlett got the edge. Newman's been great. Here comes Taylor. What's his target? Pagan picks up. Kicks to the square. Can McGrath do something brilliant? Hudson, first grab. Smith with Poyce. Oh! And a bounce.
Oh, that was nearly holding the ball too. Oh, stretcher. Time on.
Yeah, is that Smith down there?
No.
He's in the pack somewhere.
Time stops.
You've got to go.
And blood rule as well.
Werribee.
Oh, that couldn't come at a better time for Coburg either.
Or
Bartlett off.
Yeah.
Big ball up here.
On the blood rule. And who is that?
As the clock stopped, Ross, tell me.
Yes, it would have stopped. we would hope so.
You understand the minutiae of the game of football. tell the barrackers at home what's going on.
That's Brian Harris. Well,
this has been a just great game of VFL football. You know, Drew, you get to see a lot of the AFL footy too, and they've commented and it's great footy, of course, and Port Adelaide, and Adelaide was a phenomenal game, obviously, but a lot of touch football in the AFL, isn't it, that you see?
Yeah.
Whereas this stuff, it's tremendous, isn't it, to see sides in close, tight football? There's the collision.
Harris in front, and Hudson was pushed into him by Smith.
Yeah, he got a knee in the, maybe the
back,
solar
I think,
plexus in the back. So, 31 minutes, the clock ticks over.
This is a fair income set play. Who's waiting? Is it Kerry O'Brien tonight? Will we be off in time for Forsyth Saga? I'm really well addicted to it. Ross, am I okay?
I'm sure we'll recover.
Going to the evening programming at this rate.
Brian Harris going off.
Well, if there's a point scored here and ends up a draw, we play extra time. How much time left, Ross? 30 seconds?
I'll let it guess it.
Well, the clock at the moment is still ticking and says 31.5, but with the stretcher case, we saw the third quarter go to about 34.
Now, Bartlett's getting ready to come back on.
Well, that was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because the stretcher case allowed Bartlett to get back on the ground.
With the blood, yes. He's been cleaned up, Trent Bartlett. He'll be able to come spread over here. Time to get his position, I think, and take the ruck contest.
Who's head of the ABC? Oh, Shire's gone, hasn't he? Been gone for a while, hasn't he? Is it McDonald? You just get him on the bar and tell him we need a bit of extra time, Ross.
I'm sure they're working overtime, working things out.
So here's Bartlett about to appear as Harris, Brian Harris, who was got his moment of fame when he picked up Tony Lockett when Plugger played here for Port Melbourne.
Right, a set play, bang. There's probably we're into about 29 minutes of real time. There's been 2 minutes or so.
Oh, there is a siren before the umpire could bounce the ball. Werribee by a point.
How can that be so? How can that be so? Ross, explain that to me.
Well, when they blew time on, there was obviously 1 second left.
Fantastic
and
game.
Have made the preliminary final by a point to a gallant Coburg team who came from 6 goals down, hit the front, and lost the game by a point.
Ah, what a game. What a game. Just a phenomenal game of football. 1 point that we've been blessed, Drew, over these last 2 days. Just great. This was a different kind of game, wasn't it? Hudson there, so many good players, so much tension. Cracker off in the third quarter. Coburg fighting back. We have been blessed. We've got some great finals ahead.
So next week it will be semi-finals. Geelong play Sandringham and Coburg go in against the winner of today's game between Williamstown and the Kangaroos. This weekend we've had 3 finals completed in the VFL for a total margin of 10 points in 3 games. Hope you enjoyed it. Werribee by a point.
Thanks, Drew. Thank you, Drew. And you couldn't have asked for a better series that has played out this weekend. And also the Kangaroos and the West Coast in a thriller. It looks like the West Coast, though, will get up against the Kangaroos, which means Geelong will miss out. Let's take a look at the scores at Manuka Oval. And we have 16-18, 114, 21-11, 137. King with 4, Corey Jones, Harding 3, Philip Matera, Troy Wilson with 5 each, Daniel Kerr just having 3 goals. Just 2 minutes left, so unlikely for the Kangaroos to come back, which means that Geelong miss out, Essendon will play the West Coast and Melbourne will play the Kangaroos. Carlton, it looks like it's going to be an easy victory to Essendon, 11-14, 80, and Carlton 3-6-24. Race results and race number 6 out at Werribee and number 9 Constructor paying $6.40 for the win from Tarcoola Midnight and Flashline. Big payout though in the trifecta if you had all the numbers, 16, 86, 15. Australian world number 1 Leighton Hewitt has advanced to the 4th round of the US Open tennis tournament with a nervous 5-set win against James Blake of the United States. Hewitt prevailed, as we said, in the 5th, 6-7, 6-3, 6-4, 3-6, 6-3. While Hewitt and other big names wobbled, Venus Williams and Andre Agassi stayed rock solid, recording quick-fire victories to slice further through the Grand Slam draw. Venus smashed German Martina Müller 6-1, 6-2 in just 41 minutes, while Agassi battered Raymond Delgado 6-2, 6-1, 6-2 in just 89 minutes. Hewitt will now face Yuri Novak of the Czech Republic in the next round. Australian golfers Robert Allenby and Peter Lonard are tied for second place, one shot from the lead at 12 under par after the third round of the US PGA tournament in Canada. American Gene Sowers carded a 5 under par 66 to lead the tournament at the 13 under par 200. And that's where we're going to leave you today with some footage from last weekend's backcountry snow jam held at Mount Mackay near Force Creek. 12 pro skiers and 12 pro snowboarders competed for a share of $20,000 worth of prizes. Do hope you can join us next weekend. We'll be on air on Saturday from 1 o'clock. See you then.